Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Battle for Humanity, Game 3. I was playing Russia in this game, and the bot, once again, we will not talk about until I think it was 1903 we set, because I want Ezio, who is here, hi Ezio,
Hello.
to guess who the boss is. He managed it pretty easily on the first game. I think he got it wrong on the second one. We will see whether he can go positive on his guess rates.
Yeah, I definitely got it wrong on that second game.
Yep. All right. Well, an interesting opening, I think, right here. Anything you want to talk about off the bat?
Well, I'm gonna rule out Austria as the bot. I don't know, maybe that's wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a bot support themselves into Galicia on O1. I didn't look too thoroughly at all of this most recent bots games, but since the AIs love to attack Austria as Italy so hard in O1, it would be kind of surprising to me if any bot that played Austria against the bots, right? Because in their self games, that's how they train. If any
Yeah.
Austria decided the best strategy was to support themselves into Galicia, because that just seems like a losing proposition against any Italian attack. And oh, hey, look, Italy looks like they're attacking Austria. So not
Yeah.
much is there. But as far as like the moves and standard openings, pretty standard. The interesting move, I think, on this board is twofold. One, a bounce in Burgundy, and two, the move to Armenia. English Channel is also interesting. English Channel counts as interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the most obvious interesting move is that Austrian one. It's like forcing yourself into Galicia is such a rare thing to see, even when you have like even in press games where you can take more of a chance than Italy might be on your side, just because I think the chance of you getting bounced out of Serbia is way too high if you do this, right? You're kind of going all in on Romania instead, which is a bit awkward considering Russia can put 2 units on that. Um, yeah,
Yes, completely agree.
yep.
I
Uh,
think like the time in for this, there are it's a fun opening in a press game. If you hear that Russia's opening north, you do this, and then you tell Turkey, "Hey, you're welcome to take Serbia. I'll be taking Romania. How about you open to Armenia, and then we'll kill Russia really quickly." Or something like that. I think it's a viable situation. And because Turkey opened to Armenia, maybe there's a chance that Austria goes with it. But hey, look, Russia opened to Ukraine, and so Austria is probably getting bounced out of Romania.
yeah, that's the interesting part of it, right? Because Turkey here could just continue their attack on Russia and go Bulgaria to Romania, try and bolster the Austrian attack, but even that, it doesn't really bolster the Austrian attack because then you have to somehow find a way to coordinate between Galicia and Bulgaria without being able to talk. Um, so maybe actually you want to order Bulgaria to support Galicia to Romania and hope that Austria is going to Serbia, but then that seems dubious as well because Italy has just opened to Tyrolia and Venice. All in all, this it feels like a very bad opening for the Austrian. Um, and yeah, elsewhere it's pretty standard apart from this move right here. I would say the one into English Channel, bit unusual. And interestingly, that's the only other unit on Belgium other than the English one that's always on Belgium in 1901. So England's going to have an interesting choice.
Yeah. Um, in this situation, it seems like it's relatively automatic. It seems like you send North Sea to Belgium, Norwegian Sea to Norway, and you kind of just cover London with Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
seems pretty straightforward.
It's yeah. I mean, usually with that English army, you have the choice of covering Wales or London, but when it's just the French fleet on its own, no army, it's a lot more simple. Because the problem with Wales is obviously if France can land an army there from a convoy in 1901, you're a little screwed. You can't
It's
really
pretty
defend
tough.
everything. Um,
Yeah, I like. I'm very. unused to seeing this French opening with Paris to Gascony, Marseille to Burgundy, but then Brest going to English Channel, not mid-Atlantic Ocean. Um, I love this variant where you go for the other version, because then if you have this exact situation, you're really happy because you just convoy your army from Gascony to Portugal while Marseille takes Spain, and then you still get your two builds. You haven't pissed anyone off going for Belgium, and you get your two builds, and you have a potentially devastating attack on England in '02, or you can do something more normal and still go after Italy, but you'd much rather have your fleet in mid-Atlantic Ocean. With
Yeah.
this opening, if you're moving into English Channel, it feels like you really want your army in Picardy. As we said, you threaten Wales. Furthermore, you actually have 2 on Belgium. So if you want to take Belgium, you can just take it. Um, I really don't understand why you would move to Gascony and English Channel in the same move.
I have a feeling it would be in case, like, the move to English Channel here feels defensive just because there's. I don't know. This feels like a I want to bounce English Channel move to me, not an I want to be an English Channel. Although, if you end up in English Channel and Burgundy, you do have enough force on Belgium that it might be worth it. Um, but, yeah. I don't know. I feel
I don't
like
get it.
being in English Channel and annoying the English in that way is probably not a great trade off when you've got nothing to attack them with, really. Uh, but yeah, anything else you want to talk about here, or shall we move on to the fall?
I want to hear your predictions. What's Italy going to do?
Well, I know what Italy's going to do because I was in this game.
Oh, that's fair.
uh,
Yeah. No, my predictions about what Italy's going to do are really tough. If I'm Italy here, I'm just tapping Vienna and Trieste. I'm being a greedy boy, and I'm saying that I think Austria is gonna do something stupid and not cover anything, and just send Albania to Greece and either support themselves in Romania or like go for Serbia and Romania at the same time or something stupid. That's what I'm doing as Italy.
yeah, I mean that would be pretty effective against most of the potential Austrian defenses because you can't really cover both unless you dedicate everything to it, right? Yeah, I mean, not quite everything, but it's difficult to cover both
Yeah,
and
the
take
counter argument
Serbia.
is if you just support yourself in Trieste, then if Austria tries to take Serbia, you're guaranteed to take Trieste.
Yeah,
And it's pretty likely that Austria is going to do something with Budapest, like take Serbia. But my way is the potential to go +3 in '01, and I can't remember a time I've played Italy and gone +3 in '01, and so I'd have to give it a try.
it's worth a shot. Shall we move ahead and see?
Yeah, let's see it.
All right, full 1901. They went with the guarantee, although yours would have ended up in the same position except with keeping the Austrian in Galicia, which I think would have been better, right? Because the Austrian has no builds here. In fact, they have a disband.
This is the most depressing Austrian opening I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's painful. Um,
Oh my god! And if he'd gone for Romania, he would have taken it instead of covering Vienna. That's hilarious. Super unfortunate. Right? There's no way you can make that prediction, but jeez.
yeah. Wow. Um, yeah. So I think, speaking as the Russian in this situation, right? I think this was a little while ago, so my thoughts might not be entirely accurate, but I think I was thinking something on the other side has to go for Romania, right? That something is going to be going there. So I'm not going to get in if Armenia is tapping Sevastopol. I might as well just try and keep him out of Black Sea and defend myself. But nothing went for it. So I should have just gone to Romania, it turns out. Although I might have lost Sevastopol in the
Yeah,
process.
but
So.
getting into the Black Sea is worth something at least.
It is. That's true.
And Turkey just moving Ink to Khan is super weird to me. We're gonna see what Turkey builds, but is Turkey saying, you know what, Russia, let's be friends because Austria sucks. I'm gonna get my fleet out and build a fleet Smyrna. I don't think. I mean, maybe Turkey could do that because they have this army Armenia. They could probably move that to Ankara. I
Yeah.
don't know,
It,
but like, I think you clearly are. aiming to build Fleet Sev, or you're planning to build something in Sev.
It's
Wait, why did you cover Moscow?
interesting. I, I can't remember. I think it was in case I needed the unit. Oh, in case I think I got 0 builds and I needed to cover St. Petersburg, was this? Although, no, then I could have covered it with Bothnia. I don't remember why I covered Moscow. Um, Maybe it was something
I
to
think
do
it
with
was
defending
that
Sweden.
idea. You just forgot that if you weren't getting Sweden, you're getting bounced. So
Yeah, that's plausible. I think also something that I've come to do a lot more towards the end of this tournament. I don't know if I was thinking at this level at that point, but if you seem to be, if you get bounced out of Sweden, going back to St. Petersburg is often not the best thing I've found. You kind of, if you can throw another army up north and just keep on going at it, you're more likely to gain a foothold there and then be able to press forward. Right? Uh, Getting bounced out of Sweden isn't the be all end all of the north. But I don't think that was what this army was doing. I have no idea what this army was doing, if I'm honest.
sounds good.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, the interesting thing about Ankh-to-Kon here, I suppose it may have just been an attempt to take Sevastopol, right? To bait the fleet out into the Black Sea and take Sevastopol behind it. Um, because if you go to the Black Sea as Turkey here with Ankara, then there's obviously the possibility that Russia just bounces you out of Black Sea and takes Romania at the same time, and then you're a little bit you're a little bit on the back foot. Not really on the back foot because Russia still can't do anything to you, but not as far ahead as you would be if you can snipe Sevastopol.
yep. And of course, your moves were the safest possible, right? There was really no way for Kiris' position to get too punished here, because even if Turkey went for this exact move set, you're still covering Sev. And also on the lowest upside, right? There was no way you could ever take Romania and keep Sevastopol in this turn. But I mean, sometimes that's how the opening goes.
Yep.
But
And then on the other side of the board, we have France backing out of the English Channel, going back to Mid Atlantic Ocean, uh, which is an interesting follow up to the move into the English Channel. It does seem to double down on the fact that maybe France didn't want to be there in the first place. Uh,
yeah, it's just like, God, don't do this, guys. Right? So if you look at where France's units ended up, right? France ended up in Spain, Mid Atlantic Ocean, and Burgundy at the end of the first year. How many games of diplomacy are played where France ends up in Mid Atlantic Ocean, Spain, and Burgundy after the first spring?
yeah, that's basically all of them. Well, no. Yeah, occasionally you end up in Marseille instead of Spain when you support yourself to Burgundy, but it's pretty frequent to just be in those three places.
Right? And just instead of being in the good places, France is just in the bad places instead. Just a turn behind. Um, I mean, look, it has the advantage of England leaving his army on the mainland instead of convoying it over to Norway. That's clearly upside. Oh wait, London is blocked. So if England wants to build two fleets, England is going to build a fleet in Liverpool.
Yep, that's
That's
painful.
clearly upside. I'm sure we're happy about that. Um, yeah. So
I'm sure England will waive the bill and just be friendly, right? Especially after you
yeah,
went to
well,
English
the Second
Channel.
Army on the mainland. I mean, I think the Second Army is honestly maybe a thing. Oh wait, no, because they can't convoy their armies anywhere because they don't have any fleets there.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think this is just asking for bad things to happen as France. Germany, meanwhile, is just sitting nice and happy, right? Nothing too upset. He's got two on Belgium, and England can't defend Belgium, so Germany is basically guaranteed to take Belgium next year.
Yeah.
Could maybe build another fleet in Kiel and another army Munich, and then maybe take Sweden too. Like I think Germany is very, very happy with how this one has gone. Start of a beautiful EG, or not an EG, depending on how you want to play it.
Yeah. And, like, it should be stated here, we were talking about the fact that being in Mid Atlantic Ocean can be a beautiful start to an attack on England at the end of 1901, right? If you convoy Gascony over to Portugal. Big difference there is if you convoy Gascony over to Portugal in 1901, you get the two builds, you can stick down an army and a fleet. So you don't just put down Fleet Brest, you can get two. If France uses their build here on Fleet Brest and goes for the attack on England, discounting the fact that England is going to have Fleet Liverpool to bounce it if they want to. So
Well,
let's
Army
just
Liverpool would be sitting there blocking the land.
yeah. So either way, an attack here isn't going to be successful. But let's say that unit wasn't going to be there. It still probably wouldn't be a good idea to do this in a gunboat game because you leave Army Spain, right, has to either go to Portugal to get that build, or it goes back to Gascony to try and reinforce Burgundy with the one other army you've got on the continent. You can never pick up that Portugal build because you're trying to attack England. So this isn't much of a launching off point. And you're trying to defend yourself against Germany in Burgundy, so you can't even convoy onto the English homeland, which is like the huge thing about this this usual opening, is that you can go Mid-Atlantic Ocean to North Atlantic, Brest to Mid-Atlantic, convoy Portugal over up to Clyde or wherever, or to Liverpool, and just decimate the English. So yeah, this is not a good French position. that's basically what that boils down to. It's not a terrible French position as long as you put an army down, I think. But it's not great.
Yeah, I'd still put a fleet down because I refuse to build an army as my only build is France, but
Really, even in 1901 when you've got the backup build in Portugal.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I love fleets. Fleets as France make me happy.
That is fair. France can do very, very well with just fleets. It's probably the only power on the board that can do that well with just fleets, right? Because even England, if you just build fleets, you kind of just get stuck.
Yeah, I mean, only fleets is of course a lot, and I don't advocate the only fleet France build
Yep.
ever. But I think that England and France should be building a comparable number of fleets, and that's the number that I'm looking at as one power. Is if I'm England, how many northern fleets can France have? And if I'm France, it's how many fleets does England have?
Yeah.
And I'm usually like, if I'm not allied with them, even if I am allied with them, I want to be able to have control over it. So no, I love fleets as both of them. And okay, but we talked way too much about O1. This is like
Yeah.
it was a rough O1 for Austria and France, but everybody else kind of just a normal thing. I mean, okay, this was a very interesting O1. There was a lot of stuff that happened. Right? Turkey did a thing. Italy bounced Austria out of Greece. I mean, lots of stuff happened in this O1, but it was still just an O1.
Yeah. Let's go ahead to the builds here. Winter 1901.
Hey, doing it right, France. Here we go.
The downside, of course, for France here is Germany just built two armies.
Yeah. Okay. Germany building that second army is a lot. That's a lot. Uh-oh.
Yep.
um.
I feel like that's just wrong, right? You kind of either way, if you're allying England, you want a fleet here to go after Sweden. If you're not allying England, you want a fleet here to go into Heligoland Bight.
Or you quote unquote are allying with England, and then you take Sweden, and then you attack England.
Yeah.
Um.
There.
But it's the question is, do you want to take Sweden or not? And if you look at Russia, right, we kind of knew Russia was building in Sevastopol, and so you build this fleet in Kiel, you're super likely to take Sweden. I don't know. I'm taking Sweden here as Germany, but whatever. Instead, Germany is attacking France? Question mark? Question mark?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, France. To be fair, they've got a free Burgundy thanks to your your fleet build in Brest over there.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do, right? Okay, you're gonna take Burgundy. I'm gonna move Spain to Gascony. I'm gonna just move Mid-Atlantic Ocean to, let's say, I don't know. Maybe I support Brest into the English Channel, and then I have Burgundy just derp around. So you force Burgundy. Burgundy retreats to Marseille, and then I can use Mid-Atlantic Ocean to take Portugal while Brest covers Gascony, or I could self-mount an English Channel in the spring and then do the Mauvais blind, or I could use whatever, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to make that much progress on me, and I'm going to build another unit.
France
So,
is still just busted. Like, it's so dumb that you can get away with stuff like this.
It's absurd, but as a result, France never built an army first, even in this position, right? What worse could it be? How could this position be any worse for France defensively? And yet,
Yeah, it's just. Well, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with that. How do you like that Austrian disband? How often do you see a disband in 1901? That's a rare sight. Um,
a very rare sight. Um, I don't like Italy building a fleet here. I really don't like it. Um, my feeling is that Austria is down, Russia and Turkey are fighting, so this is the best opportunity to just build an army of Venice and just steamroll over him. Go Trieste to Serbia, Tyrolia to Bohemia, Venice to Tyrolia, and then suddenly Austria retakes Trieste, and then you like take Vienna and Trieste or something. And like I don't know, maybe those tactics weren't ideal, but getting the third army in here, you have three armies, Austria has two, you're gonna beat them every time. You can't lose that war. And then you have a fleet in the Ionian to just mess around, right? Either take Tunis or take Greece or something. But the second fleet, maybe Italy was really worried about Russia and Turkey calling it off somehow in gunboat, even though you took the Black Sea. I don't know.
that
Maybe.
seems likely. I mean, if you have fleet conflicts manner here, suddenly things are looking a lot worse for the Italian if the Italian builds Army Marseille. Although, actually, not that much worse because I think the tactics you provided are a little bit suboptimal in that you could get bounced out of Serbia and then nothing happens. But if you move it down to Albania instead and support through, you've got a pretty solid position for just steamrolling the Balkans.
You're really betting that Austria does not support holding Vienna here in a gunboat game when Austria
They
had this opening, dude?
really should. I mean, or attack Trieste, right? Um,
The attack Trieste is what I was assuming would happen, right?
yeah,
Attack Trieste from Vienna, but that's why you just walk into Serbia and then say, hey, buddy.
yeah. Either way, the army is really strong. The fleet, not so much. And like, if you take any supply center, you're kind of okay against the Turkish attack. You're not incredibly okay, but you're
Yeah, I mean,
kind of okay.
if you took it in the spring, right? Let's say you bounce Aegean and Turkey built two, so they have a fleet in the Eastern Med. It's like they can tap Ionian, so if you take Tunis, they get in there. But then you build your fleet in Naples, and suddenly, what's Turkey doing? I mean, okay, it's awkward. It's definitely bad. That's fair. That's fair because like Turkey could have taken Greece, and at some point last year, and then if they get into Ionian, suddenly they can have the convoy set up. But maybe you don't even vacate Ionian. Maybe you literally just hold in the Ionian. You tap Aegean again, right? I
Yeah,
don't know. It's a thing. I think the army is better than the fleet because especially in this universe, right? It's great. In the other universe thing, it's still better, but it's close.
yeah.
I don't know. The armies from Germany or whatever, England built two fleets because hey,
England.
you're England. You guess you got to build two fleets. You already have an army in the mainland. Um, this is not always looking like a great start for you, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is particularly just because of the Turk down here, right? Although these are weird Balkans, it's really hard to tell what's going to happen with a completely open Balkan peninsula like this. Um,
Yeah, where Serbia, Greece, and Romania were all not taken in L1.
and Tunis on top of that,
And
and
Tunis.
Portugal. Actually, this might be the most open supply centers I've seen in Winter
Yeah,
01.
but Holland and Belgium were both captured, and Sweden, right? Like
That's
normally
true.
the go-to ones that aren't captured are like Belgium and Sweden,
Yeah.
and Greece is kind of on the list, right? Portugal too, somewhat, right? If you're saying that four supply centers are open, those are the ones you're thinking of, not these. I mean,
Yes.
Romania is it's got to be on the list, but whatever. Okay, let's just
Yeah.
see some tactics, man. How does like is Italy just going to be rolling Tyrol trees forever? Is that just the game that Italy's in now?
I feel like Italy could just like support an attack on Vienna and hope. Because worst case scenario, if they get dislodged from Trieste, they get into Vienna, then and Trieste can retreat to. Well, actually, if you retreat to Serbia, you're in an awkward spot because Austria can walk into Venice. But you could retreat to Serbia or Venice, and either kind of works. You at least stay even. So let's move on to spring 1902 then.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
What surprises you the most here?
Italy wants to be friendly with Turkey?
After building a fleet, yeah. I mean, I suppose maybe it's just like a thing of I know I built a fleet here, but like in actuality, I want to be friends with you.
And this move, Naples to Ionian, while Ionian went to Greece, it's like so. I really like a lot of this. I like the Trieste supporting Bulgaria to Serbia. I would have liked to combo it with Naples to Tyrrhenian Sea because then if you bounce Turkey out of Greece in the spring, which seems totally plausible, right? A lot of Turkeys are going to Greece here. Then you still take Tunis in the fall. Yes, exactly. You don't want to get bounced back into Naples because then in the fall you can take Greece and take Tunis in the same phase. And doing it like this, there's a reasonable chance that Turkey chooses to cut Budapest in the spring,
Yeah,
or excuse me, in the fall, so you can take Vienna. You can't even take Vienna though. Well, you can, but then I'm just looking at Budapest. That's Trieste. If you then support Trieste into Vienna, then suddenly Austria's gone down too, so Austria's expanding anyways, and you're okay.
yeah. I really can I just say I really dislike this Austrian moveset right here. Um,
Oh, it was just terrible. Really terrible.
yeah,
Absolutely awful.
I think it's okay if also if Italy has built Army Venice here, so you just prevent the possibility of Trieste moving into Serbia, like you said before. But in this
Absolutely.
possibility, against my moveset here, this would have failed because I would have just ordered Tyrolia to Vienna with support from Trieste, and then you're just screwed even more so than before.
You're just completely dead, yeah. And if Philly doesn't even support this movie, you're still screwed because you bounced. Yeah, anyways.
Yep. Uh,
But yeah, I hate this Austrian move set in this situation, but whatever. Um,
yep.
I think Italy's very happy. Italy's going to be going +2 minimum. Actually, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because here, what if Turkey decides Turkey doesn't want to help Italy out and instead decides well, they want to help the underdog and they support Budapest and Trieste?
That would be so. I mean, after only successfully getting into Serbia because of the Italian support, that would just be mean, right?
Yeah, but I'm in Serbia now. What you gonna? What have you done for me lately?
I don't know that I would want to do it. There's a possibility that I might,
You at least got two fleets, man.
primarily because right now you can, because of what we haven't talked about yet, which is what happened around the Black Sea here. But Turkey has the possibility of blowing up that Russian fleet if Russia lets them, right? So converting this into a juggernaut is absolutely possible. It's an interesting position, but it is possible. But yeah,
We argue it's always possible to turn it into a juggernaut. Um,
yeah,
we really never say it's impossible, and I think that's because we really believe you can always juggernaut.
yep. I mean, Juggernaut is just one of the most consistent alliances in this game. That's just how it be. Because it's always, or almost always, much easier for Turkey and Russia to move west together than it is to attack one another. Um, Basically, in any scenario, even if you've had Turkey take Sevastopol and Romania or whatever, they can still move west together much more easily than they can take anything off each other. So,
Yeah, the
yeah,
only time when it's like easier to attack each other is after you've juggernauted and you've killed off Austria, and so Russia's got Romania, Budapest, and Vienna, and Turkey's got Serbia, Bulgaria, and Greece, and then it's like, oh, look at all those centers that are right next to me. Hmm.
yep.
But
Uh, is there anything else in particular you want to talk about this phase? Because the over in the west, the French moves are basically exactly what you said they would be. The German moves are exactly what you'd expect, given that Germany was going after were well built two armies, so they were
after
probably
that
going
second
after
army
this.
build, yep,
Yep,
absolutely.
and England. I mean, they're doing what they can with Fleet Liverpool. It's on its own a bit over there, but, you know, it
Not for
works.
long. Now it's bordering the English Channel, so
Yep.
yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about the fact that you made it into Armenia.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
This is a kind of interesting one, right? Because Black Sea is obviously far, far better than Armenia, and potentially getting more units on Romania is even better than being in Armenia, but it does prevent an attack on Sevastopol, which I think was the intention here, if I recall correctly. I mean,
Yeah, if you're trying to juggernaut, this is the great way to do it because you're begging for your fleet in Armenia to get blown up.
yep.
Uh, the only issue is you're begging for it to get blown up while giving Austria a second attacker on Sevastopol, which means you kind of need to use Moscow to cover Sev, so you're going to have to build in St. Pete. Maybe you want to build in St. Pete anyways, but
Do they?
it's just a little tight.
Yeah, it's because once that unit is blown up, they have a ridiculously powerful position against you, right? That could just be
It's just
painful.
to keep going after you. But anyways, let's go to the fall.
Yeah, let's go to full 1902 here. Um, and that, I think, is what you call a Russian fleet disband declined. Declined in an interesting way as well. Uh,
I'm sorry, Armenia support hold Ankara,
yep.
while Ankara was convoyed over to Bulgaria with support from Khan. I love it. Wow, that's amazing. And then, yeah, Turkey and wait a second, but Turkey just worked with Italy. Wait, did he? Or
Yep, yep.
did Armenia do it?
Turkey Turkey supported Trieste to Budapest, and that actually went just because of that. Italy gets 3 builds here.
What if Italy if Turkey had done the other thing, had supported Budapest into Serbia, then Italy's only building one, right?
Yes, because
Why
Budapest
is
would have
Italy
made it
working
into
with Italy
Trieste.
and you?
It's very weird. Um, because like as Turkey, you kind of want chaos to be reigning, right? You want to be able to slowly roll over while no other person is getting too powerful. But in this position, they're trying to make both of the people next to them stronger and hope that they're going to align with them.
I'm sorry,
It's
are you building a fleet in Sevastopol?
I don't think I was.
Because
Um,
if you build a fleet in Sevastopol right here, right now, I think Turkey's just gonna die.
Turkey does have a build here, important to note.
Yeah, they're gonna build a fleet Smyrna, right? No, what are they gonna build? Good question. What are they gonna do? Because because they what?
That's the weird thing, right? Because you can't. Like, what? You would normally build Fleet Smyrna because you're working with the Russian, but you're also working with the Italians, so you don't want to build Fleet Smyrna because that will put them off.
You
So
maybe build Army Ankara.
you want to build Army Con, really, but you've got a fleet stuck there. So you kind of have to build Army Ankara, right? To convoy out via Black again. But
Or something like that.
but then
Anyways,
where do you even go?
that's
You're
what a
completely
hilarious
surrounded.
East. I'm such a fan. I wish Italy had. I mean, Italy, I think, is playing crazy. Right? Italy's doing really, really well.
Yep.
God, that support from Bulgaria into Serbia was so clean. Unbelievably
Yeah,
clean,
it
actually.
worked out super well for them. And of course, that's the people say gunboat isn't real diplomacy. This is when it becomes real diplomacy, right? When you're using your supports to try and get people on your side, and it's
Like,
absolutely
how
worked
lucky
here.
is this?
Um,
How lucky is this? Right?
it's
This Italian play is just absurdly lucky. Because there's support when they support the Bulgaria into Serbia only worked because of that exact move. And this order set from Italy. This order set does nothing to take Budapest. It does nothing against anything except exactly this.
yeah, it's it's an interesting approach. Although you could argue they don't need to make progress against Austria right now because they're about to pick up Greece and Tunis.
I guess.
But you'd still expect if they didn't want to make any progress, you'd expect Tyrolia support hold Trieste, not this.
right? That's just super. That's crazy. Like, I mean, look, moving is better than not moving, and it clearly lucked out on the support. It's just,
It is pretty insane. Yep. Um. Meanwhile, shall
yeah,
we
yeah.
look?
Then we look at the West, where like, hey, look, France is getting pressured. Oh, Gascony, you gotta support Paris. You can't make that. Actually, no, you don't. No, that's fine. I misunderstood. I missed the position. Okay. I like the Gascony hold, and I totally get why they didn't support Paris into Burgundy.
Because yep, it could have forced the
Yeah,
retreat to
never mind.
Marseille.
That's fine.
But meanwhile, France seems to have a bit of a lifeline here because England just supported themselves to Holland. Um,
Yeah, let's attack Germany with the fleet in the Irish Sea. Okay.
and
Sure.
you think here, okay, I kind of get attacking Germany because they have one fleet, so it's not like they can do much against you. But if you're going to attack Germany here, at least convoy London in. Like, ugh.
I think England here was actually expecting Germany to attack. I think England was expecting Burgundy to Belgium with support from Ruhr and Holland.
This would be a good counter in general, except for the fact that Denmark would tap North Sea every time in that instance,
Oh,
right?
I agree with you. I don't think this was a good move. I am trying to what I believe England saw.
Yep.
I also don't think you should expect Germany to attack you when they don't have another fleet, right?
Yeah. It's
But
if a
I
German.
think this is why England made this move set.
So we often talk down about Germany's building double army in '01, precisely because, or triple army in '01 in some rare cases, precisely because you don't have any influence over England after that point. You're kind of just hoping that they side with you. But it is a strong show of support that basically says, okay, England, I'm going to work with you. We're going to take out this French player in the corner who otherwise is going to survive all game because they're France. Um, so let's go all in. Let's make sure we get this. Uh, the thing is, as England, you should pretty much always take that, right? You kind of can be fairly sure they're not going to stab you if they've done that. Because if they stab you, it's going to be fairly ineffective. They can grab Belgium, and then that's it. They get a fleet build, and it's so slow to get any more progress. Um,
Where unless they can stab you while they're the only ones making progress against France.
yes.
That's the only time when this or Russia, right? If they can get their first fleet build while stabbing you as England, and then Germany can continue to crank out fleets for the next couple of years, okay, you might be in some trouble. But if that's not going to happen, then as England, you can look at their builds and say, what are you going to hit me with? And then just ask them that question every time while you have your fleet in the North Sea, and so they have to keep Belgium, Holland, and Denmark occupied, and
Yep.
you just laugh at them. Anyways, I think that's really not great. But this was a really really cool O2 just because of the East. This East
Yeah.
was crazy.
This is just insane, and it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out over here. Considering it's
What are
kind of
Italy's
hard to
build?
see.
3 armies? Probably army fleet. Probably.
Yeah, you can't like getting three armies off of the Italian homeland is so difficult.
Oh, it's not that hard. Like
I,
you just move back into Ionian, and you
then
just
convoy
convoy
them.
Apulia.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you like Bohemian Crusher it in the north or something.
Yeah, or you just support yourself into Trieste.
Yep, that's also a possibility. Where do you send? Oh yeah, I was gonna say where do you send Trieste then, but it's already in Budapest, so you're fine on that front.
Yep, exactly. Trieste is
Yep.
vacant, so it's really, really easy to make
Uh,
these moves.
right. So shall we move ahead to the winter and see
Let's
what
see
the
it.
what the builds are? Okay.
Okay.
We've got Fleet Marseille from the French player.
All right. I
That's
like it.
an
I like
that's
it,
an
France.
interesting call.
It's a bit. It's a lot.
Is
It's
it?
definitely a lot, but I kind of actually like this one because Germany has just been attacked by England. It's totally plausible to me that Germany chooses to attack England here. and goes and supports Burgundy into Belgium or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. And really, you just want something to cover Burgundy while it's there, right? Sorry, to cover Marseille against Burgundy while it's there. You don't need it to be an army long term. You just need it to
That's
act
fine.
like one for the moment.
And
So,
this is a great way of telling Germany, hey, I'm actually working with France.
yeah.
Excuse me, way to
Uh,
tell Germany I'm working with you against
yes.
England. Yeah, I'm
Um,
France. I want to be your friend here.
and Germany's
And
disband certainly indicates they want to be anti English, although at first glance it looks. Well, actually,
it looks like a unit on a home center that has fewer hostile units adjacent to it.
yeah.
And with that disband, if I'm Italy, 100%
Just
I'm
walking
locking in a
into
unit.
Munich. Yeah.
100% here. Absolutely, I want to throw that into more chaos.
I would kind of want to do that too. That
After
would.
we see that Turkey built an army, right? I can just, my two fleets are enough to keep Turkey stuck forever, right?
Yep.
I can beat Turkey in the south. I can solo this game by like '08. We can all be home for tea,
Yep.
right? Because you
Uh,
just walk into Munich, you're going to take Vienna, and then you're going to have enough armies to beat Turkey and Russia in the Balkans, enough fleets to beat Turkey in the Mediterranean, and then Germany's dead. England and France are fighting. Yeah, this is a beautiful game. I love it. I'm super happy for Italy. Nice solo. Congratulations. Let's go home. Let's go home.
well, I mean, based on that, when we're doing power rankings right here, Italy's at the top. Yeah, that's like no
Italy's like
question.
number zero.
Italy is so far up at the top that they probably cover up the word power rankings in this order. Um, who do you say has the second best chances of winning right now, or
Turkey.
even with that strong of an Italy next to them?
Yeah, because Turkey's stupid. Like Turkey's position is still great. What are you going to be? You're not going to be support holding Armenia, right? So Black Sea just supports Ankara into Armenia, pops it. I support myself into Romania. I'm going to bounce Turkey out of Aegean. I don't think Turkey's going to attack me. Turkey and I have been buddies, right? I helped him into Budapest. He helped me into Serbia, right? We're going to be clean.
Yep.
So maybe he doesn't even. Maybe he lets me into Aegean even. So suddenly I have a huge threat on Sevastopol and Romania. Russia's completely tied down. And then I can, I don't know, take Greece and convoy myself into Bulgaria or something and actually just go for the juggernaut. Then suddenly Turkey's whole position is gone. Excuse me, Italy's whole position is gone
Yeah.
because we've suddenly juggernauted.
I see. I feel like Turkey's downside here is just how easy it is to completely murder them if Italy wants to. Right? You just bounce Con out of Aegean, and Turkey is stuck forever. There's nothing they
Not
can
stuck.
do.
I mean, look, if I want to as Turkey right now, I can just support myself into Greece.
You can. That's true.
And then
You.
suddenly, okay. And so if you're bouncing me out of Aegean, it's going to be tight. Now, once you get into Naples, into the Ionian, and you support hold Greece, you're okay. But then I can get into Aegean.
Yes,
So,
that's true.
and
I
okay,
feel like
so
if you knock the Italian fleet out of Greece, you end up getting Lepantoed in the same year, right? You get Ionian Eastern Medid. Um, because there's nothing to stop Italy Lepantoing you at that point.
yeah, maybe, but like the Lepanto's not that effective once you're in Serbia.
That's true. Uh, although, like, you need to have Russia back on side. Although I suppose knowing that I'm Russia, this is probably fine because I tend to
Russia's
side
support
with the
held
UK.
Ankara last turn.
Yeah, that's true.
You didn't even support all your fleet in Armenia, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the,
you were right, and then you built an army in Sev, right? This is in a gunboat game. How can you not? How can you be trying to Lepanto? Actually, how can you not juggernaut anymore? Right? Russia's saying, "Hey, blow up my fleet, please. I beg you."
yep,
And as Turkey, I'm going to take him up on the offer and then take Sevastopol.
yeah,
Right? I
uh,
don't know,
yeah. Okay,
or Romania, but whatever.
let's put Turkey in second place. Who do you think is in third? I assume it's going to
You?
be a Western. Really?
No, it's you.
Come on, someone in
Austria's
the West has to
right.
be better than the three Eastern powers, or there's got to be someone there with better chances, right?
Maybe, but here's my thinking, right? It's kind of reasonable. Austria is dead. Every single center that Austria had has to get split up amongst the three of you,
Yep.
and only the three of you. And in the West, this is a very typical West, right? So you just took the East, took out Austria, and most of it's gone to Italy, absolutely. But Turkey's in Serbia. If you wanted to take Budapest, it's very plausible you can get into Budapest. If Turkey wants to work with you, it's going to be a crushing victory. And if Turkey doesn't, I don't know. But then why did Turkey convoy into Bulgaria, right?
Yeah. It's so basically what you're saying is there's more power usually in the East because there's 4 players there, but there's only 3 players now. So each of those players, if they get the right alliance, could be stronger than everyone in the West.
Yes.
Who do you think is the strongest Western power?
England? Yeah, it's England.
Their position is so awkward. Like,
Yeah,
just
but it's England. England's a corner power, man. We've seen this before.
It's just the unit in Irish Sea. I hate this unit so much right now because what's it gonna do? It's stuck behind English Channel. If you support it in the English Channel retreats to Wales, and then you're like,
well, no, you move London to Wales, and then if English Channel retreats to London, you disband it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a fair moveset. But then you're also giving up Belgium.
Oh, everything else, yes. I completely agree. No, Irish Sea sucks. That's why when you attack Germany, you probably don't want a fleet in the Irish Sea.
Yes. That's the understatement of the day so far. Also, the problem is, like, North Sea is such an important province and unit when you're attacking, well, when you're trying to defend the lowlands or whatever, or even defending yourself here. If English Channel ends up in London, North Sea probably needs to be doing something to defend that, or won't be able to support anything because London can just tap it, right?
Man, could you imagine if the Helgoland Pike didn't exist and North Sea just bordered Kiel directly? I've wondered about this very frequently.
There's a variant on V Diplomacy where that is the case, actually. We should play it sometime. But
we really shouldn't, because I don't want to be able to have Kiel move in the North Sea in 01.
Yep. I think it's fairly standard in that opening.
Does England just support themselves in the North Sea every opening?
Sea. Yes.
That's just, oh god. Anyways, let's never play that game ever. Thank you.
But yeah, so the important thing here is North Sea really needs to be supporting stuff. It could try and hold Belgium here. It could try and support Holland to Belgium or whatever. It's kind of key, but you also want to be either in Skagerrak or Heligoland Bight here to proceed the attack, and you can't leapfrog over North Sea. So Edinburgh's not great if you can't move North Sea somewhere this turn, and North Sea...
How nice would be to convoy fleets with fleets?
It would be quite nice.
Convoy Edinburgh into the Helgoland Bight, please. I'll support that with Holland. Thank you. Could you imagine that order sequence? Because that would be so much fun.
Yep, that would be amazing. But it is
sadly illegal, and all the analysis was completely correct.
Yes.
Can't do anything with it, right? Edinburgh just stinks.
So, do you still think England is 4th overall on this board?
Maybe. Who would you take over England in the West?
I don't know. Like, I might take France just because France.
Okay. But actually, I'll concede France being France is reason enough for France to be no lower than 4th.
But actually,
I'll concede that argument.
Actually, the downside to France is just Italy is strong right now, so...
Yeah, but, like, Italy doesn't even have that many fleets in the West, right?
Yeah, they could if they wanted to, but they have to go all in on the alliance with Turkey to do that, so... Yeah.
I mean, I'll let you pick the West however you want, but... I'm
going to go with your order, which I assume is England, France, then Germany, right?
Well, we've said listed the corner powers before the central powers, so power rankings.
Let's just do that. Okay, so Italy 1st, Turkey 2nd, Russia 3rd, England in 4th here, France 5th, Germany 6th, and Austria. Poor Austria down there in last. Maybe could get a comeback. You never know.
Honestly, this game, it could happen, because of how weird Turkey has played, it's unclear to me where Turkey is going to land. And wherever Turkey lands, there might be some chaos on the other side where they try to mess around. But it has to start this literal turn. If
Otherwise,
this turn is
Austria's
anything
just
like
doomed.
we've seen, it's all over.
Yep. Okay, well, let's
We
go
see it.
ahead to spring
The Austrian
1903.
comeback. No.
No, that's very much not an Austrian comeback.
Well,
It's,
he's gonna move to Munich. It's just he's gonna die in Munich.
you want to know what makes me incredibly sad about this phase? Armenia's support hold Ankara, knowing that Russia is me. Just watching Ankara sail away to Romania.
Yeah, with the support hold of Armenia, man, that's rough.
Uh, yeah, because I could absolutely have defended against this attack on Romania here, but I really didn't want Armenia to be blown up and then him just to have Serbia, Bulgaria, Black Sea, Armenia on me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yep. Yep. Just painful. But on the plus side, Italy is in Aegean now, so maybe that will cause
Yeah,
some
Aegean and
disruption.
Ionian.
Yep.
What's your disband gonna be? Because it's gonna be the fleet in Armenia, right?
I think it kind of has to be, right? It's like so we haven't really talked about what's been going on up here in the north for the last 3 turns in a row. I think it's just been Moscow moved to St. Petersburg, Sweden moved to Norway, Norway moved to St. Petersburg. So no change here. And that has very little chance of changing because, it benefits both powers to just continue doing this. You don't really want. Well, I don't really
Yeah,
want to
right.
leave Sweden because then Germany could just walk in, right? England doesn't really want to end up in St. Petersburg anyway, but they really don't want Moscow to be in St. Petersburg because then they could get knocked out of Norway. So they kind of have to just continue bouncing. Um,
Yep. And Norway is covering a center, Sweden is covering a center, and St. Pete's covering a center. So there's 3 units, 3 centers being covered. Seems
yep.
okay.
So these units are just permanently locked into their current moves up here, which means I've only got now Warsaw and Sevastopol really, Warsaw, Moscow, Sevastopol to maintain my entire war effort down here, which is not great when losing Romania. I have to rely very hard on Italy stabbing Turkey here.
Is it a stab? I guess it's a stab.
Is it so? It might not be actually, because I think in Italy's position here, I would want to bounce Turkey out of Aegean as part of the alliance. But obviously, that would be a lot better in a press game because you could explain that. Here, Turkey might just see it as an act of aggression. So, yeah, I feel like as Turkey, this is such a bad alliance in general. Just because you're completely surrounded by Italians right now, it's so difficult to come out on top in this duo. If Italy just wants to keep pushing east, I guess the idea is try and make Italy comfortable enough that they can push west instead. But um, I wouldn't bet on that because you just put 3 armies into the Balkans, and Italy's supply centers are all directly adjacent to them. So
Yep.
yeah,
I hate the alliance in the abstract. I have yet to see a practical board that I've looked at and said, you know what, that's like a natural Italy. From this position, I would expect Italy and Turkey to work together. I've never seen that. Um,
yeah,
so
and I think that will continue in this game. I guess it's really hard to think of a
that point,
good like. I wonder if the best. I think the best Italy Turkey natural alliance would be if Italy controls all of Austria plus Serbia plus Greece, and then just demilitarizes that area completely. And Turkey just has Romania, Bulgaria, and Sevastopol and pushes north. But then there's so little growth potential for Turkey on that route because they've got like Warsaw and Moscow as their growth centers. That's
yeah,
nothing.
maybe St. Pete if things fall perfectly. But
Yeah.
then once you're in Warsaw and Moscow, suddenly it looks like you're kind of Russia and Turkey in the juggernaut. And then you know where the juggernaut hits? Austria. You know
Yes.
who fought Austria's centers? Italy.
Yep.
How
So
does Turkey ever solo without Venice?
yeah, that seems completely impossible. Not
Right?
completely impossible, but like
Of course, not
incredibly
completely, but
unlikely.
like Naples, right? These are the centers that basically every Turk needs to solo at some point, right? At least a couple of Italian home centers. And that's why the alliance is so hard for me to fathom, right? It's also partly why I think the England France alliance is so tough, because it's really difficult for England to solo without Brest or Paris.
Yes.
It's more doable, significantly more doable. And again, you don't need to solo every game, and so you can make an alliance in a SOS score and say I'm going to get to 12, and you can keep pressed, and you get to 11 or 10 or something, and like maybe you even get to 12, and then we just have our top boards and we move on. And like EF does that very easily. For Turkey though, in the IT, Turkey gets to like 8, and then that's the limit.
Yeah. Which is a painful number to be on in SOS. You want to be higher than that. Um, it can still give a decent score if everything else is split, but like if you're
And
allied with Italy, probably not everything else is split because Italy will have quite a lot.
yeah,
Um,
and then Italy just has to be feeding you centers in the Balkans in order for it to be
yeah.
okay.
So is there anything else you want to talk about? We haven't done the West at all, right? Um,
Nope. In the West, we basically saw the attempted convoy, but then the
yeah,
whole, like, mostly, yeah, mostly nothing happened. That was unexpected at all. France is happy with this turn.
yeah, and like we see how useless Fleet Edinburgh is right now.
What
Moving
do you
to
mean?
Yorkshire.
Fleet?
It's
Yes, you're completely
so
right.
this is to defend London in case the London convoy makes it over. But now it's in an even more terrible position because it can only go to North Sea. There's nothing useful it can do aside from that. It can cover London if you want to try this convoy again. But this convoy isn't going to work again because Germany now has Kiel and Ruhr and Picardy. Um, so that they can still lock up the lowlands.
Well, we're
Although,
still going to be covering Munich, right? Because Bohemia
yeah,
is going into Munich every time.
yeah, that's a possibility. And also, well, you could bet on Burgundy and Bohemia bouncing in Munich, which would be quite the bet to take. But you could hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna just look at the '04 because really the West I don't care about this game. I only care about the East.
Okay, let's go ahead and
Screw the
look
West.
at fall of 1903 then here. And well, the East looks bad for Turkey all of a sudden. Although not horrendously bad because they did actually protect themselves quite well. Um, with cuts on Budapest and an attempted cut on Aegean Sea here, plus attempting to take Greece, so they end up bouncing these fleets back out. But the fact that Italy is trying to go anti-Turkey is just horrendous in itself for them. Because they've kind of forced Russia onto the back foot here. Russia goes in from Galicia, so and Russia is now in Black Sea, so Turkey is just going to get squeezed if those two powers want to do that.
That's true. Good news for Turkey though is that Turkey disbanded their army in Romania, so Turkey can build a fleet in Smyrna and cover Eastern Med.
That's true. I did not think of that. They do get, yeah, they got the force disband there. Um, but yeah, I do love that Austria stays alive here, managing to sneak into Munich. And actually, I think Germany didn't manage to take anything, right? They tried to get into Belgium, but France actually bounced them out with a supported attack on Belgium. Um,
Truly horrific for Germany.
yeah. Like, is this a good play from France? It seems.
I would assume this would have worked if I was France,
Hmm,
because
because.
I'm assuming that Ruhr is covering Munich.
Yeah, and if it's not, and you've got Denmark, right, that can tap North Sea, so Germany's best attack is just attacking Holland. There's no reason to go for Belgium instead. Um, eh, I guess you could try and
The advantage
surround
of
Holland and
Belgium
lock
is
it
that
up.
you want to get your army out of Picardy to make peace with the French.
Yes, that's an upside. On the plus side, you can now get your army out of Picardy because you let Austria into Munich, so you've got a disband.
Yep, there will not be an army in Picardy anymore.
Yep. Uh, so that's pro-French, I suppose. France
Yeah,
rotating their fleets into Brest and Mid-Atlantic. I suppose that's just to cover everything against Picardy here. Yeah, I mean
yep.
that's what they did. Uh, but
And
yeah,
then we've got the swap in the north. You finally said, you know what, England, you can have St. Petersburg. I don't want it anymore.
yep.
Definitely not that you were concerned about there being two on Stev. Is that why you did it?
I think that's likely why I did it. Yeah,
You
because
tapped remaining in Black Sea, man.
that can't. Yeah, I don't know. I think at this point I wasn't thinking straight. I should say I do actually get reasonably decent at gunboat at some points in this tournament, but clearly it's not just yet.
Whatever. Looks
Uh,
like your position is still fine. You're in the Black Sea, and Turkey's going to work with you. So you got your juggernaut finally.
yep,
It's
I
a shame
did.
you took from Galicia instead of from Ukraine. That would have been the real next level play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the obviously the problem with going in from Ukraine in this position would be if Italy is anti Russia and wants to stick with the Turk here, they
Yeah, and if
just
Turkey
tap
stays
Galicia
anti-Russia
every
also, you're
time.
gonna just die.
Yeah, that's true. Uh, but yes, I won the gas on Black Sea, so I'm very happy about that. You like being in Black Sea, but yeah, is there anything else here? Oh yeah, this could have gone horrendously wrong for me in the north, but I got very lucky on the fact that this was a turn when North Sea decided to go into Skagerrak instead of protecting Norway. Although I suppose North Sea had a bunch of other things it could do, so there's no massive reason why it would protect Norway when it's expecting Norway to bounce anyway. Um, but yeah, anything else to talk about here, or should we move on?
I don't know.
Let's
Yeah, looks good to me.
go ahead to winter, and then I will ask you the question: who do you think is the bot right now?
France or Italy?
Do you want to give some reasoning on that, or
So, let's look at builds.
okay? So yeah, winter 1903. We see Army Venice, Fleet Smyrna, remove Army Picardy. I think that's all the builds.
Yeah, so we know it's not you,
Yep.
because you're you. Um, it's not Austria, because an Austrian bot would never play that Austria played as Austria. Um,
Yes. The
I
opening
refuse to
was.
believe that any bot would let Munich be taken the way that it was. Right? Just, just, I don't believe that's the thing that a bot's going to let happen. Right? Especially not to not get a guaranteed center. Right? Munich was absolutely going to be attacked, absolutely for strength one. Germany needed to commit a unit to defend and just didn't, and like whatever. England. I suppose it's possible that England was a bot. I just feel like an England bot does something different than like covering Yorkshire. What if the fleet? Maybe I'm wrong. I could see maybe it could be England, but I don't assume it's not England. I saw a move earlier that made me just like say it's not England anymore. Whatever. I'm saying it's not England. So the thing about France, right? France's opening was terrible, right? The opening that France played was just abysmal. But the bot makes terrible openings all the time and then like wins with them randomly.
Mm.
And every move that France has made since the opening, I think, has been very, very good. Right? Truly great defense. Um, just said armies are for schmucks. The Gascony hold caught me off guard, but was I very much liked. I think that was a great move. Um, too, just leaving Marseille vacant. Um, I think that France has played just a really clean game here. But like, how many humans are going to build a fleet in Marseille in '03 and have it be great, right? How many human players are going to attack Burgundy with strength 2 while vacating Marseille because they're so confident that Burgundy's going to back out? How many human players can make that move? I'm not sure how many there are. Um, and it's possible that Francis is like a really, really good player and has therefore done this. I just don't think there are any great human players that have such a terrible opening as France. Right?
Yeah.
It needs to be a simultaneously great player who has a poor opening repertoire for whatever reason, quote unquote poor. I just say that as non-standard, therefore poor, but right.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting question for me. The alternative is Italy, because Italy has also played a relatively unstandard game, right? I don't know how standard it is for humans to just YOLO against France in '01. I know the bots love to do it.
Against Austria,
I
yeah.
or excuse me, yeah, YOLO against Austria. I know one. The later version of this bot that I've looked at really, really likes this attack on Trieste and then bouncing Austria out of Greece in '01. Right? They love to take and then force Austria down to no builds or one build as Italy, and then they just kill Austria. And so this is super common for the bots. The supporting Bulgaria into Serbia in the spring of '02 is super clean. I think the tap on Naples, though, right? From Naples to Ionian doesn't seem like a very good move, though, because I think Naples is supposed to go to Tyrrhenian Sea in this line. Right? I think that's like just a pretty clear suboptimal mistake after '01. And I don't think the bot makes suboptimal moves after '01.
Interesting reasoning. So are you saying France then, as your guess?
God, maybe. The phrase was so bad. It's definitely it's 100% France or Italy. I'm like, okay, it's like 98%. You could tell me that it's England, and I'd be like, I guess. I just assumed that the bot would find a better way to approach this position. But France or Italy, we can flip a coin on this one, right? Maybe the fleet build is why I think it's not Italy. But the fleet build went so well. The fleet build went so well.
It really
Yeah, I
did.
don't know. You can take. I don't know. You can sue me. I'm gonna. Oh God. I give myself two odds. I gotta pick one, don't I? I have to pick one.
Yep, you gotta pick one. Which of France or Italy are you going for? I will go ahead and tell you it is one of those two powers, so you are right so far.
That's right. Man, I think I'm gonna pick Italy because Italy just the stupid. I can't remember the last time I've seen a human player take Trieste and bounce Austria out of Greece. I can't remember the last
Uh,
time I've seen that happen. Can you do me a favor? How early in this tournament was this?
this how early in the tournament do you mean, or
Yeah, because like, which bot was this? Was this the first bot or
this
the
was
second?
the very first bot? This was I think game number 9
Right,
overall
because
or
I remember
something.
we were talking about this, and you said that the AI changed how it played throughout the tournament. Right, humans realize, or not, the AI didn't play. Humans changed their play because they saw the AI do this all the time to great results.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna say it's Italy. Italy's the bot, and then
Uh,
randomly built the fleet in Naples, and it was crushing.
you fell at the final hurdle. Unfortunately, it was France who was playing who was the bot playing here. But your reasoning was completely correct on the French front. It was a pretty poor opening, but after that point, it's been exceptional moves, right? Especially stuff like this. This holding Gascony. Hang on, I have to go back a bit. When it does that to protect its position, guessing that Marseille is less likely to be taken. Something I've noticed throughout this tournament is this bot does not value protecting Marseille in the slightest. It will always protect Gascony or Paris over it, if given the choice. So this is a very telltale sign right here. But that's something I've learned over 100 and something games, so can't expect you to know that off the bat. But yeah,
Like,
your
what
reasoning was
not bot
correct.
moves has Italy made? Right?
Sorry, the
What moves could Italy have made that makes you think Italy's not a bot, right? Because I thought they were both super body this whole time.
yeah, I think the main one for me was, which one was it? It was not this one. I mean, obviously I knew who the bot was, so this is like not it. But the Tyrolia to Vienna, Trieste to Budapest move in full 1902 feels, I don't know, just suboptimal. I feel like a bot would want to just grab Greece and Tunis, which are guaranteed, and then hold what they have in the north because there's no point in taking a risk for an extra center at that point.
What is this
Uh,
risk losing?
I mean,
Oh, this. Yeah, what is
actually,
this risk?
it risks losing Trieste if Turkey is against you. If you can bet
If
that
Turkey's
Turkey is on
against
your
you, you've lost
side,
Trieste likely anyways.
yeah, actually, this isn't terrible. Maybe I'm just mistaken on all this. I think you are correct that the only real bad move then was the attack on Ionian in spring 1902 instead of moving into Tyrrhenian Sea.
Yeah, but it also just worked.
It did.
Yeah, but no, I think that was. I didn't like that move. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, man,
Yeah,
I think I had a chance.
yeah,
But
but
like,
like I think your reasoning was very very good there, and you basically got it. Although you changed your mind at the last second.
it was tough between the two, man.
Yep.
Because
Um.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe you. What game was this?
I'll tell you after. You can have a
That's
look
fine.
at
I'll
it.
go look it up.
Um, but yeah, so we are in
I
winter
believe you. Obviously,
1903.
France is definitely like a
Yes,
bot, right?
France is the boss. Uh, so we're back in winter 1903 now. We've got Army Venice, Fleet Smyrna, and Army Picardy off the board. Shall we go ahead to the spring?
We were Winter 02, right?
Nope, we were winter '03.
Oh yeah, we saw this turn. Yeah, this is a turn
Yep.
that exists. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome
Oh,
to Diplo Strats, where we always have things in perfect order. This is working very well, this
oh
commentary.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
I wasn't looking at the first 2 years when I was thinking about the bot. The third years exists.
yep.
Oh yeah.
Uh, right, so,
Okay.
spring 1904.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's go to spring of fourth. Man, having an extra turn of data would have been useful. I
You
love
just
it.
talked about the extra turn of dust for like 20 minutes. Uh,
I was talking about only the first 2 years, man.
no, I mean, before we talked about the bot, you just commentated 1903.
Yeah, but '03 is oh shmee, right? When I'm looking at the board, anyways, it's great. I
Sure.
love it.
Alright, so let's go ahead to spring 1904 now. Anything you want to look at first?
I mean, we've always been talking about the East, but now that we know the bot's France, I guess let's talk about France first.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't understand why France moved the way France did. I guess France was expecting Germany to take Munich back from Ruhr specifically, and
Well, I
therefore,
feel like that would be where you would take Munich back from, right? Because then that provides you with the possibility of taking Berlin straight after.
yeah,
And yeah, if that
probably.
works out, it's fantastic because you end up in Ruhr and Burgundy. You can just go all in on the lowlands, and Germany's still fine with you being there. It's not like they're going to try and knock you out. Um,
Yeah, so
yeah,
then on the short to midterm, and then hey, you can do this. You can be at war with England. You can be encroaching on Germany's territories, and you've got time. You got some fleets. Why not go into Western Med? I guess.
I guess it might have been a precautionary thing against a potential Turkey Italy, but I don't know about Western Med. That just feels weird.
It feels super weird to me. Like, I guess it West. Like, okay, you obviously don't want to have a unit just get stuck in Brest, right? You don't want that to happen, so you have to get that out.
Yeah,
And maybe it's more likely you get into Western Med than you move it into North Atlantic Ocean or Irish Sea. Maybe that's the argument.
Well, no, because you can guarantee Irish Sea if you support in.
You can, but then you're not bouncing Holland out of Belgium.
That's true.
And if you can keep Holland stuck in Holland for an extra turn, that seems pretty nice.
It does. Um, yeah, because just the fact that England only has one on English Channel, even when they have North Sea on English Channel, the fact that they have to dedicate North Sea to that is painful for England. So it is nice to keep England out of Belgium here. But yeah, so I don't know what's up with this rotation here. I think the main downside to it is just it can get Italy's turn around, right? That's a big
Maybe.
potential downside.
You think Italy's going to turn around from this war with Turkey?
Uh, I think if they were, they would have disbanded Aegean here instead of retreating it to Eastern Med. Just to show. Although, actually, then you don't have the fleets to take on France very easily, so. Because you're going to lose Greece either way. You're not going to lose Greece because you just took Serbia. I am apparently blind. But
Yeah,
yes.
Italy's not going down one. So disbanding means you can rebuild a fleet in Rome, which is a nice way to teleport.
Yeah, I think I would have done that then. Like, if I'm Italy planning to turn around in response to this French turnaround, I would disband Aegean, hold in Smyrna with the support, bounce Russia out of Budapest or attempt to let Turkey take Greece if they want to, and just go backwards. And hope Turkey is willing to kick Russia out of the Black Sea, although that's difficult to do right now. Because they just moved Constantinople out into Aegean instead of Smyrna out.
Yeah,
Just
Russia's not losing the Black Sea for a million years.
yep. Um, but yeah. Also, I was so cautious about Galicia being bounced out, and I really wanted to get these units mobilized that I just go to Warsaw instead. Turns out Galicia would have been open. Seems to be a recurring story here for me of places I am avoiding just in case of a bounce ending up being completely open for me. Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to discuss here? I guess we can talk about what happened up in Scandinavia.
Yeah, we can, but like people can read the board, right?
Yeah, I mean, England basically pulled their fleet out because Fleet's St. Petersburg is horrendous. It doesn't do very much, and it's just going to constantly get tapped by Moscow. Whereas this way, at least they can try and take Sweden. It probably won't work because Moscow is going to continue tapping Norway. But honestly, if you support out into Sweden here and Moscow taps Norway, then you're okay because you keep St. Petersburg. So, yeah, you still get your build if you can maintain everything else you have. Yeah. So shall we just move along to fall
Make,
1904?
just make sure you keep supporting, you keep tapping Norway, right? But if you support Sweden to Norway, you get wrecked by the support.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my god, you did it!
Yep. You called it
And
completely
let's go into
correctly.
follow four, and let's all
I love
look
it.
at the north.
You moved ahead to see me get wrecked. This is very sad for me.
You when you said "oh" made me my heart skip a beat. I was like, wait, what?
uh,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I thought I was looking into something else.
it's all good. We're being extremely professional here at Diplo Strats, as per usual. Except
All of
I didn't get completely wrecked because Germany thankfully donated me Denmark for some reason. Germany's moves here are incredibly odd to me. Like, they're not really attempting to take Munich, they're just tapping it with one, which is never going to work. You have to get French support if you're doing that, and France has better things to do. You're covering Berlin, but if you're covering Berlin and you want to cover Kiel, you should cover Kiel with Ruhr, because then at least you still, you still have your fleet in Denmark. having 3 units on Munich doesn't work if one of them is a fleet. that's that's no better than having the same 2 armies in Kiel and Berlin. So it's just a weird
Yeah.
moveset from the German here. But I have to say thank you because it does mean that I don't go down a center.
Yeah, I think Germany thought England was going to take Denmark and figured instead of letting that happen, he would at least cover Berlin and Kiel so that the German wouldn't that Austria wouldn't retreat into the German home center. So Germany wouldn't lose one.
Yeah, but I still think like if you're gonna do that, you should move Kiel to Berlin and Ruhr to Kiel instead of this. I guess maybe Ruhr is better than being in Kiel. Um,
Yeah, but being in Denmark means you don't lose anything in this situation. But
yeah.
how often is this situation going to happen?
This is specifically if I choose this moveset and England chooses. Although England could have chosen Norway to Sweden with support from Skagerrak, and then the same thing would have happened if I'd have gone the other way and gone St. Petersburg to Norway.
Yes, that would have been really funny if England goes the other way. So you bounce out of Norway, and then you still retreat from Sweden into Denmark, right? You end up losing only Sweden, but you gain Denmark and St. Pete, so you actually go +1 in the north,
Yeah, that would be very
despite having
nice.
2 units. That would have been hilarious, but impossible with the given orders,
Yes.
like a million different ways.
So interesting that I think France gets a huge boost in position right now, right? Because they take Belgium. They do lose English Channel, but in losing English Channel, they get into North Atlantic and Mid Atlantic with an empty Liverpool and with a build,
So
which
they
is
get to build
just
their fleet in Brest, and England again, it doesn't get a build because even though England took 2 in the north, they lost St. Pete in Belgium, so England's neutral. I
yep,
think France is probably sad right now that France doesn't have an army to convoy to the mainland because
yeah,
this is a situation when every French and their mother wants to convoy an army into Liverpool, and then England's kind of cooked. But
yep.
taking out the fleet's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's still a supply center. It's less good than if you take it with the army and can attack Edinburgh immediately afterwards, but it's still fine. The only downside right now is the fact that Italy has this fleet in Western Mediterranean that France needs to either cover with Mid-Atlantic Ocean or build a new unit in Marseille to cover. Both of which are a little awkward in terms of trying to do stuff. um, yeah, I suppose you could just let it into one of your centers and deal with it later, but yeah, probably don't want to do that, right? Because it could get stuck in Portugal, and then you're very you're finding that very annoying. Um, we haven't talked about what's happened in the east here, mainly because very little happened. Good cuts from the Italian make sure that Turkey can't take Greece, which is always a good thing if you're going for builds. Italy actually goes plus Munich plus Serbia here, so they're going to get another 2 builds. And yeah, Russia bounces Vienna out of Budapest and gets into Cilicia and Galicia. So finally, I take the provinces that are completely undefended, but might be a bit too late given how strong this Italian is getting. This is a 1904 position where the Italian has all of Austria, Serbia, Greece, and Tunis. That's pretty solid, and they have Munich.
Yeah, the downside for the Italian position is that you're Russia.
Mm,
I think most Russias in this position are gonna find a way to stab Turkey and then lose to Italy. Um, I've seen this happen all the time, where Russia and Turkey just get into a war and then Italy solos. I don't expect that to happen.
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. Thing is, yes, I'm a very balance of power player most of the time, right? I'll often sacrifice my own objective in order to make sure that someone who's bigger doesn't achieve their objective either. Um, Whereas a lot of players like, I need to be as big as possible, especially in this scoring system, especially in Summer Squares. because if you sacrifice your own position to take down someone else, you're completely trashing your score where you might have gotten a decent result otherwise in some squares. So I just really,
Yeah, if you ever
really
make
hate.
that play where you sacrifice your own growth, you're really limiting your maximum score because you're never going to get to the 12 dot situation. I say never.
Exactly.
It's really difficult to get to those 12 dot situations.
Yes, and there is a very brutal, effective stab that you can do on Turkey here, which is just convoy Romania to Ankara, and then you can take the Turkish supply centers relatively easily with an army build in Sevastopol, moving down to Armenia. But the fact that Italy is so strong means you are probably not going to keep those very long if you do that. You have to rely on Italy building fleets and heading the other way, which was exactly what Turkey tried to do, and that has not worked out very well for them.
Yeah,
So,
with Italy's dead and you don't get that many more builds, you're going to have three armies on the mainland to Italy's five.
yep.
Now, the counterpoint to make me the stab is viable is that Italy has taken Munich, and as soon as Italy takes Munich, not 100% of Italy's units can be used to defend and fight in the east. They now have to hold Munich. Maybe they're going to get into Marseille and do stuff with France, but France doesn't take Munich. So there's a chance.
Uh,
I think holding with Turkey for a long time is your best bet.
if I'm Italy and I take Munich, I usually send it to Silesia straight afterwards to just like annoy the Russian, because I feel like if you hold Munich as the Italian, it's always just to hold Munich. You know, you're never going to get much more out of that. If you just
I think,
tunnel up the middle, you're going to get
yeah, I mean,
squashed.
sometimes, yeah, I never go for Kiel or Berlin, right?
Mm.
That or the lowlands, right? Absolutely. But it's not uncommon that I will try to take Marseille while holding Munich, and suddenly the French position is really brutal because you can actually get into Burgundy, you can actually threaten Gascony, the Iberian Peninsula can fall, and
Yeah,
you
that's
can actually do things that way. But yeah, usually Munich goes laterally to Berlin, or excuse me, to Burgundy or Silesia, not Berlin.
yes. Yeah, I agree. So
Unless Berlin's the 18th pot, in which case it's your 18th pot, man.
that's true. You have to hold it a while to get there.
From
Um,
this position, yeah,
so shall we move ahead to the winter?
do it.
All right, and we are in power rankings time. That we see that German fleet coming off. Fleet Marseille being built by the French. Interesting
Yeah,
choice, mainly to discourage Fleet Western Mediterranean from taking anything, I think. Um, and then Fleet Kong coming off for the Turk, which opens them up pretty nasty to a pretty nasty potential Russian stab if Russia wanted to here. Um, and Army Venice, Fleet Naples on the board. So, well, any thoughts on those builds first? Anything?
I think they're all totally fine. I mean, Fleet Marseille is a little damper on Italy's day, but I think it's great. France has had four builds and has built four fleets, right?
Yeah. Well, three fleet. No, have they?
Have they built anything? Wait, what
They've
the
only
hell? Have
had
they
three.
only?
They've had three builds. They've had Spain, Portugal, and Belgium, right?
Oh
And they've
yeah,
built a fleet every time. You're correct.
it's just taken a year to get here. Yeah, I thought they were at
Yep.
one. Oh, because they're going to take Liverpool. Sorry, I forgot they hadn't taken Liverpool yet.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, they're building only fleets. I love it. The bot agrees with me. Only build fleets as friends. That's definitely what I said earlier. Don't go back and listen to the tape.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's worked out pretty well. So in terms of power ranking, I guess Italy is at the top at this point. There's like no question on that, right?
Yeah, I think Italy kind of has to be number one. Again, the thing about the Italian position that makes it was like clearly number one earlier, and maybe we were overzealous about Italy before because Italy has basically done exactly what we thought Italy would do. The problem is now Italy is at war with everyone,
Yeah.
and it looks like Italy is not going to be able to gain anything next year or the year after,
Yep. It's like
and
the this is
that's
exactly
rough.
the thing that you said, right? If Russia convoys into Ankara here or does anything stupid, then Italy is just clearly, well, probably gonna solo this game even. But if
Yeah,
Russia and Turkey hold strong and actually play well, then Italy's position is hard to see how you get more out of this, at least anytime soon.
yeah,
Yeah. But they'd still be number one. It's hard to say that anyone is absurdly strong apart. Well, there's no one absurdly strong apart from them. Everyone else is kind of balanced out by other powers, but they don't have any allies, which is always a
yeah. The
downside.
counter argument I'm going to say for that is France.
France is in a good spot.
Right,
they,
we were talking about it because we were talking about the West, and right earlier the East was in balance because if Russia and Turkey had worked together, they were 2 years ago in position to beat Turkey out of the Balkans. Not anymore. Italy has secured the Balkans, and yes, Italy, Russia can take Greece eventually, but not cleanly at all.
Turkey, Russia,
And
yeah.
so it's tough for to see how Italy, Russia actually grow here, either one of them. And France just has the dagger at England's throat, right? France is in North Atlantic Ocean. Um,
Yeah.
just took Belgium. Germany's not a threat anymore. Germany's down to two. And so if Italy is stuck in a war with Turkey, Russia, and they just stall out for a while, I think France is going to beat England and France is going to grow off of Germany, maybe even take Munich eventually. So I think that Italy is still clear number one. I do agree with that. I just think France is also pretty clear number two from here.
Yeah. I think I'd agree. France just seems to
I don't
be in a
know
very
who's three
strong
and four
position.
and five and six, but I know who six is.
I mean, I think I know who seven might be. Goodbye,
Yes.
Austria. Uh, but yeah,
So we have
so
seven.
six would be Germany, and then you've got Italy and France at the top, and England, Turkey, Russia somewhere in the middle. Um,
I
we
think England is probably the next best. Like I get it that France's position is good, but if if England can play very cleanly for the next few turns, plausible to me that England can not lose very much, right?
yeah,
And can potentially like take Denmark or not lose anything in the north, depending on how things go.
this is
And
the
then,
the kind of
sorry,
England in exile situation, right? You can absolutely afford to lose Liverpool if it's to a fleet. That's not a problem. You could just keep pressing for Denmark here and say, okay, I'm going to establish a core in Scandinavia that no one can ever touch, and then go back and get Liverpool back later when France is under threat from the Italian.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Again, it's only a fleet. There's no possible convoy this turn, and as long as you make sure to move London to Yorkshire or Wales to cover Liverpool in the fall, then you're not going to lose Liverpool to an army this year. And
yep,
okay, France could, I suppose, convoy an army into Clyde after moving Burgundy to Gascony or something, but like then whatever, you're still pretty happy as England because you're probably going to go +1 in the east, and so you're going to then you get to build and be fine. So
yep. And
I think England is probably third.
you're actually probably not even losing Holland either because there's nothing really adjacent that can take it. Maybe France if they
Yes,
get into Ruhr, but that's a
maybe.
question mark.
Yeah, it's tough to get into Ruhr when potentially England can attack Belgium with three. And if you lose Belgium, it's going to be disbanded because that's a fleet in Belgium.
Yep. So yeah, we put England next, and then it's just a case of which of Russia or Turkey is stronger here.
I don't know. I'd rather be Russia in this position.
I think I would be too. I mean, I was, but I definitely would be. I think
Russia
just
has a fleet in
because,
the Black Sea, and Turkey had to disband a fleet con. I mean,
yeah, worst comes to worst, Russia can just grab stuff off of Turkey and survive that way. Or it's not like they're kind of both stuck in this defensive line right now. But if Italy does manage to push through, it's Turkey who's gonna suffer, not Russia.
yeah.
Um,
There's another thing, right? Russia's position has more potential to actually gain than Turkey's does,
mm,
right? Turkey's only going to gain by killing Italy, and that's just not going to happen. Whereas Russia can gain in the chaos in Germany, right? There's You have a fleet in Denmark and an army in Silesia. It's not impossible. You lose Denmark, retreat to Baltic, take Berlin, and then take Kiel.
Yeah.
Um, it's unlikely you're going to make gains in the Balkans, right? Budapest, Vienna are tough. Serbia's possible if Turkey can support you there, but unlikely, right? Um, but there's a bunch of chaos in the north. You've got an army in St. Pete still. Maybe you walk into Norway. Also, again, you can stab at Turkey whenever. So I think you have a much better chance of getting a big result than Turkey does.
Yep.
I
I
think it's
think that's
low,
very
but you
fair.
can. I don't see Turkey getting a big result in the sport ever.
Okay. We our power rankings here are Italy first, then France, then England, then me and Russia, then Turkey, and then Germany at the bottom, and we say goodbye to Austria. Let's go ahead to spring 1905. Uh, gotta love
All
these
right, so remember when I
shuffles.
said I didn't expect to get anything from the Balkans ever? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
This is so I mean, so
Wow.
Turkey, it's not Turkey. Italy made some pretty big errors here. Although they can crush Budapest fairly easily. That's not a problem for them because they can just pull Serbia up and destroy it. But then Turkey makes significant gains. And really, what's happened down here in the south is just horrendous for Italy. This whole shuffle of Ion to Greek, Aegean to Ion, Eastern Mediterranean to Aegean, Smyrna to Eastern Mediterranean. It would have been potentially a little worse if Smyrna had gone to Aegean, bounced Italy out there, but the fact that the Turkish fleet is in Ionian is just very painful in general. Especially with a Turkish army in Albania, it could just get convoyed over to Apulia, right?
Yes. So this is definitely a position that I am uncomfortable with as Italy. I would have preferred it if like Naples had just bounced Ionian or something and everything had held in the south. But as I'm looking at it, I'm not sure how true that is. How much better that position actually would be. Like, right, we just established that if the war had gone kind of the way we're both expecting, it's going to basically be a stalemate in the south, and neither side's going to get anything ever, right?
Yeah.
How do you win the game like that?
It's a very good question, actually. Because, my evaluation of the Italian position, the fact that this would be a mistake, is that I would commit these Italian units that have just gone west to the east instead. At least Fleet Naples, because it provides so much more defense. But yeah, you don't get growth that way. And maybe you do get growth out of Marseille and Spain. So,
Yeah, but if this happens, right, I think at this point it's we're flipping a coin if England makes it to the end of the game or not,
mm,
right? And that is very true, right? Italy in this position can totally die because there's too much chaos on this board, right? Italy suddenly has to guess like, oh, is Turkey going to convoy to Naples? Are they going to just take Tunis? You've got that annoying guess to handle, and you've also got to worry about the north and the Balkans, right? And like, okay, you can crush Budapest, that's true, but if you crush Budapest from Serbia, then Bulgaria could walk into Serbia, right? All of our complaints about Turkey's growth, by the way, are just completely gone,
yep.
right? Just oh, Turkey now is going to grow by just killing Italy,
Yeah.
assuming that Turkey makes the good guesses. Now, if Italy guesses right, I think this might have just been ideal because they can actually hold France down. We were just talking about if France is the clear number two threat to Italy on this board, right? If the board essentially never moves again, then okay, maybe then Turkey is in a sad position and Italy's very happy, and Italy just has a nice board top. So maybe this was the best bet to just get a couple guesses. The problem is this game can't draw early, right? It can only draw at the end of the game, and it has to go to whatever potentially infinite, but likely whatever 1911 or
Yeah.
something,
Nine.
and
So
you can't stall for 6 years.
yeah, most likely it
Yeah,
will
okay.
end in 1911. It could end as early as 1908 or as late as any time. There's no fixed end date. It just gets more likely to end over time. But yeah, so this is just a very tenuous position, and Turkey can be taken down here. Like, if Italy gets the right guess on Naples and Tunis, Turkey's units are actually in an ideal position to just kill Bulgaria or even snipe Constantinople, right? But the problem is Turkey has the growth beyond that because they've just got the position. If they can keep enough units on the board to just survive that 1 or 2 turns that they're on the back foot, they suddenly become on the front foot.
Yeah, but yeah, surviving 1 or 2 turns is non-trivial, right? Like, if you give me any order set from the Turk, I will give you an order set from Italy that will likely crush that specific order set.
Yep.
I mean, crush to the tune of like being +2 over Turkey, so Turkey disbands 2 type deal.
Yeah.
And that's really bad. I suppose it's less bad, right? Because you're going to support hold Bulgaria with Romania, right? You're not going to forget to do that.
Probably not. I
Because if you
mean,
forget to do that, this position looks much, much, much better for Italy.
Romania can't really do anything else, right? So, like,
Well, you can try to support hold Budapest.
this is this is true. Well, no, because this is on web diplomacy, right? So you can't enter invalid
Oh, that's
orders.
right. That's right. If you don't play diplomacy, I'm saying there's like a 60% chance Romania support Budapest gets input.
But yeah, if you're on web diplomacy here and you select Romania support hold as the drop down, then Bulgaria actually gets also filled because it's the only unit in range that you can do that. So, yeah, significantly less likely to be misordered here. But yeah, so this is so yeah. The point absolutely stands. It's saying that in this scenario, with the right guesses, Italy can do very well, but they do have to guess correctly. Yep. Shall we?
It's also a lot of guessing correctly, right? It's pretty unlikely. I'm not sure what the EV move in this position was for Italy. Because EV, you get a lot of points if you win, but you were already going to get a few points from this game, probably. You're right, the game is only ending in 6 years. If you just done what we suggest, could just stall out forever. Like, it's going to take France at least 3 years to clean up the North, probably significantly more than that. And so you're probably going to end the game with an 8 center Italy or whatever, and then be 8 centers, and then have, like, again, that's going to be a fine result. It's not going to be that many points, but it's going to be okay.
Yep.
But as is, Italy can still solo, and Italy can have like a 13 center game or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe too much chaos. I wouldn't have done these moves, but I'm not sure these moves are bad. I think these moves could be really, really good.
Just
let's see if they are in the fall, eh?
Well, actually, let's have a look at the West first because we haven't looked at that at all. France obviously goes into Liverpool. They take English Channel because England goes all out on taking Scandinavia. What do you think about London getting convoyed to Denmark?
Terrible. Absolutely awful.
Yeah. I mean, clearly the reasoning behind it is that you don't want to leave North Sea. Right? That's the big thing. But there's only one fleet. Well, there's 2 enemy fleets adjacent to North Sea, but if you went into Denmark with North Sea, then Denmark isn't a problem because that can't retreat in the opposite direction. So Belgium would be the only issue. Do you expect Belgium going to North Sea?
I mean, I could see it tapping for some potential reason, but what did English Channel do? Tap Brest? What if English Channel just covers North Sea?
Yeah, that would be much better. And like, even if you don't want to leave North Sea, you could at least do Sweden support. Sweden move to Denmark with North Sea support, right? Because the only thing that stops that is Belgium tap North Sea.
And again, I think it's plausible that you were playing around Belgium to North Sea. I think that move could happen. But then just English Channel just covers North Sea. I think that's fine. But the bigger deal, I think, is you just really want to have an army on the mainland still. Yeah. I don't think as England you can just concede your homeland this way. Right? You're losing Liverpool already. It's a gunboat game. expect to still be at war with France. I don't know.
Yeah. The army on the mainland is just huge if you keep it there. And Denmark for an army, not a good place to be. It
Yes.
it can impact Sweden and Kiel, and that's it. It can get to Livonia if you go to Baltic. Maybe that's the plan. You just like,
Yeah, right. Go for St. Pete next year or something.
yeah. Or I'm just gonna live in Moscow or something. But like, it's a painful move. You really need a build at this point now to hold your homeland, and that's not going to happen because the only way you're getting build is if you somehow take Kiel from Germany.
Not
Um,
anymore.
yeah, it's just painful. Um, but yeah, so that is
All
the
right, now let's go to the
West.
fall.
Yeah, now let's go to the fall of 1905, and we can go back to concentrating on the on the East again because this is a fun turn.
Okay, so you didn't forget to support whole Bulgaria, but Bulgaria was moving, so it doesn't matter. And then you were super clean by tapping Trieste, so that way Serbia was gonna fall unless Trieste tapped Albania, which could have happened, but it didn't. Um, Greece could have tapped Albania here, but that would have just traded centers. Oh man, these tactics are great. I love it when everything is moving, and then there's the few random supports thrown in. Like, I mean, that exactly half the units are supporting.
Yeah, yeah, and like this is just the great switcheroo, right? If you look at where the all the units are after this turn, Italy does manage to get into Budapest and Bulgaria, but at the same time, the Turkish unit gets into Serbia, so it links up with Albania. It can now attack Trieste or Greece or whatever. The Russian units get into Vienna and Bohemia. The Italian unit ends up in Galicia. This is just kind of
Yeah,
an
but the
insane
important part
spell.
is at the end of the day, I think Italy's down too.
That sounds correct. Even -3, right? Because they lose Naples as well. They didn't bother protecting it.
But then
Which,
they gain Bulgaria.
oh yeah, sorry, you are correct. It's only down 2.
Yeah, but like that's just it, right? The situation was incredibly tense when the units were more even. But now, if you're disbanding two, I mean, Russia's building two units this turn. Or no, no, because you lost Denmark.
Yeah, and I
Ha!
I got Skagerrak stuck, so it hasn't been blown up or anything. It's just gonna sit
You
there.
retreated to Skager to get it blown up, right?
No, I think I retreated to Skagerrak because it could do something as opposed to Baltic would have to work against Berlin, right? Yeah, at least in Skagerrak you can work with St. Petersburg. Um,
I guess.
but
I retreated to Skagerrak with my fleet, and I want my fleet to get blown up.
yeah, I think there was a potential like it might get blown up here, and I wouldn't be particularly in a particularly bad spot if that happened. But
But instead, no. I mean, look, you're still going to keep the unit count the same, right? Your unit count hasn't gone up, but Turkey gets to
yeah,
build another unit, probably a fleet con, and suddenly this position from Italy is just too tenuous.
I
I
still
love
also do
Tyrrhenian Sea
get a
covering nothing.
build. I think because Budapest gets blown up, so I do get to build
Yes,
back and
yeah, but
forth.
you have three armies in the south. They're going to have three armies in the south, anyways.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, go on.
Warsaw's not open. That's the key. Warsaw is not completely vacant. You're absolutely right.
You said you like Tyrrhenian Sea going to Western Med?
Yeah, not covering anything. Saying I don't care what guess you make. Turkey, it's going to be right.
It's interesting, right? Because you've got a 2 out of 3 chance of being wrong if you do try and take the guess there. But you said last turn the way Italy gets out of this position is if they get all their guesses right, they have a ridiculously good position for a phase, and then that
Oh no, I
they
was
can
completely
convert
joking. I
that.
was being incredibly sarcastic. I think
Okay.
Tyrrhenian needed to cover Tunis or Naples or hold. I
See,
think it needed to do one of those three.
I see. I don't think it's a terrible move when you've got bad odds just to say, whatever. you know, I'm not even going to take the risk. I'm just going to go do something else. But this, I'm not sure this was a good thing to do because the only way you gain anything else of this is if you keep pressing for another year and you need to make sure that France doesn't, come back and take it back. Um,
I could see this being better than holding in Tyrrhenian Sea. I could see
yeah.
that being the case because then at least you can maybe get Marseille or Spain next year, maybe.
Yeah.
But even still, I think you need to cover Naples or Tunis, right? I think you have to pick one of those two to go for it. because we've just talked about it. Every unit in this fight is so important. This front is so large because of how many units are behind enemy lines. Every single unit just completely changes the math here. But oops, they don't exist, so Italy's screwed. France is
Yep.
number one. Or
Okay.
Turkey. Maybe Turkey's number one.
Well, I mean, shall we have a look at the Western moves and then
Can we just said Turkey was like fifth in the power rankings last year?
they were.
Well, that's great.
They're suddenly
Um,
in a much better spot. And it's mainly due to the fact that they got through into Ionian. That's
yeah, Italy didn't cover Ionian. That was a pretty big deal. And then they just like walked Eastern Med into Ionian again, and it was great.
yep. So so in the West, not a lot happens except France gets into North Sea. And actually England does get a build. Because they did take Kiel. Um, something I thought probably wasn't going to happen because I think as Germany here, I probably just support hold Kiel. Because there's not much else Denmark could be doing. But
Maybe. I mean, I understand the desire to try to take Munich because if you take Munich, you get a build here frequently.
yeah, but I think you
And
try and
so,
take it from Kiel, right? Because if you get tapped in Kiel, you're not getting your build anyway. And
yes.
at least then you stay on two if they do this. But yeah, it's in fact, I think if the German had supported him from Kiel here, their position isn't actually terrible because obviously England's not coming any further inland. Um, the French have two armies still, so they can't really make any kind of good attack on Munich yet. You've got a chance to retake Kiel and get yourself at least something. But yeah, the way that this worked out, they are in a very bad spot. um,
Yep. Let's look at the builds, eh?
yeah, let's go ahead to winter 1905.
We skipped over the West again. The West's
We
messed.
didn't really. We talked about Germany there.
Yep.
We
We didn't
missed.
mention that like France took the North Sea.
I mean, I mentioned it very briefly, but yes,
Yeah,
France
yeah.
taking the
The
North
West's
Sea is
messed.
big.
That's fine.
It's like positionally huge. Makes up for the fact that they've got a fleet in Liverpool instead of an army, although it's still awkward to take everything. Um, but yeah, and then we see this English army build back in Edinburgh. Problem is, it's just isolated now, right? It can pin down Liverpool, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But England's position here is just England lost the North Sea. I mean, what's England gonna do, really?
I mean, England has
Holland's gonna
become
fall.
Scandinavia.
Kiel's gonna fall. London's gonna fall. You.
Yeah, they are just Scandinavia at this point.
Yeah, but Scandinavia with a Russian fleet in Skagerrak is not going away and a Russian army in St. Pete.
Yeah, that's a painful Scandinavia to be. You can get away with migrating to Scandinavia as England and then trying to turn around and come back, I think. But you have to make sure there's nothing left in the immediate surroundings. So all of the German fleets have to be gone and all of the Russian fleets. And you need to make sure there's no two Russian units in Finland and St. Petersburg. But here, it's more painful because Skagerrak is still there. If you get
Yep.
Norway support Sweden to Skagerrak here, blow up the Russian fleet, then you're maybe okay. But you have to bet that that Russia doesn't just go St. Petersburg support Skagerrak to Norway. Uh, but yeah. So other builds, I assume they're what you expect here, right?
Yeah, Italy has a tough disband, right? I think every unit that Italy has on the board is really important.
Yep.
Um, I think Bulgaria is totally a reasonable choice. I don't know what the optimal one is. They're all pretty directional about like where is the game going to go from here. Um, but I think disbanding Bulgaria is fine.
Yeah. It's a tough choice, but Bulgaria as a fleet is just not a tremendously useful unit, right? All of the armies are much more useful because they can aid each other. Bulgaria is just only adjacent to these three provinces here, and they're,
Yeah,
yeah.
it may be, but it is also like the Aegean Sea is really important. And how important is your unit in Galicia?
It
I
is a
guess it's
question.
annoying.
It's like maybe your best bet here is actually just to keep Bulgaria on the board and try and push into the Turkish homeland. And go, okay, you're going to get my homeland, I'm going to get yours, let's trade for a bit, and then I'll try and get enough centers to stay in the game. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
that's why I said that the span from Turkey here was really defining this game because if Italy disbands Galicia, I think you have a great game going forward because you're going to get Budapest. You can keep St. Pete in the north. You can mess around with Munich, and you're probably going to take Trieste. And then, hey, Serbia's on the plate. You've still got the fleet in Romania, so you can take Turkey's home centers. I think like your game really, really opens up
yep.
if you disband Galicia, or if Italy disbands Galicia. But if Italy keeps Bulgaria, right, then Turkey takes Bulgaria, but then it retreats to Aegean, and then maybe goes to Smyrna. So okay, you have to cover it with Ionian, but then you're not going to be pushing forward with that fleet. And then you can support it into Aegean with Greece, and so you have to use Albania on that. And then maybe you can take Serbia, right? Like it really, really affects the flow of this Turkish army. Instead, Bulgaria is off, so Turkey's going to have a good game, and you're going to be stalled out for an extra year.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause here just to say this game is about to go into a very different direction than is expected. And that is because in the early phases of this tournament, the tournament moderators were not that experienced with what to do with diplomacy. They're not really diplomacy moderators, they were just people who were, hired to adjudicate the tournament. They were still getting familiar with the platform, and they did not know how to deal with civil disorders. And that is about to become very, very relevant because on web diplomacy, there is a system called excuse missed turns. And a lot of people in this tournament were new to web diplomacy and they were constantly triggering these excuse missed turns because they were not getting their orders in time because they weren't familiar with the interface. Once you run out of excuse missed turns, you get booted from the game, and a moderator can put you back in the game or find a replacement. But these moderators were not familiar with the fact that people would go into civil disorder at this point. So this was the first game this happened in. It happens in one more that we may cover or may not. That one was a very stupid game. But if we move to the spring of 1906 here, you can see Italy goes into civil disorder and remains in civil disorder for the rest of this game, which is very disappointing from a... I think this would have been a really interesting position to see what Italy did. But it does actually result in some interesting play nonetheless. So we're going to keep on commentating this regardless. And the game did continue to play out, just with Italy in civil disorder. So, given Italy is now in civil disorder, who do you place your bets on, Ezio?
So first of all, that's unbelievable.
The
The
fact that
board leader just goes into CD here. Holy smokes.
I mean, they weren't quite the... Well, yeah, they're center-wise, they're the board leader, right? But suddenly it does take out a huge power from the game, even though they were massively on the back foot.
On the back, but France was going to lose a center this turn.
This is true.
Right? Munich was going to go to Burgundy. Western Med was going to support Gulf of Leon to Spain. Piedmont was going to tap Marseille. You could slice your apple however you want. But then, wow, Italy went to CD.
Yep. It's a game changer.
I mean, Turkey, right? Enjoy your spot number one, right? Turkey's going +4 this year.
Certainly looks like it. They get Bulgaria, Trieste, Rome, and Tunis, right? Meanwhile, I just grab Galicia and Tyrolia, which is not...
Also, they get Greece, right? They go +5.
Yeah, they can do.
+5 with 5 units?
That's huge.
I've never gone +5 with 5 units. What?
Something also, like, really interesting here is the fact that all of the Italian units that are in this area are getting forced, right? The Galicia and whatnot. There's a good chance that the units that get left on the board are some number of these ones that are in a line between France and Turkey. So Turkey actually has a natural barrier from the second largest power on this board, and same the other way around. Um, it's probably going to vaporize pretty quickly, given
I
that
think it's
these
going to be
centers.
gone this year, right? Isn't Italy going to be down to one unit in Munich?
Munich, Venice, right? Oh,
You know, they're taking Venice from Tyrolia.
yeah, that's a possibility. Um,
Oh, you don't do it, do you?
I
After you
mean,
see a CE, right? Don't you just have Venice?
you'd think so. I think there's some interesting things that happen right here, right? Because, okay, so if you're in my position here and you just see the Italian go in civil disorder, what's your first reaction?
I'm gonna take Budapest and I'm gonna stall, right? Make sure that Turkey doesn't take my dots, and then move on.
Do you think that Turkey is gonna be like? Do you think that Turkey is not gonna take your dots here? Turkey is like
Um,
blatantly stronger than you after Italy goes out of the game, right?
I mean, how much stronger are they? Yeah, probably, but I think Turkey really wants to get pressure on France because if they attack you, right, they're going to be stronger than you, but they're not going to kill you because you're getting two builds this turn. Right? You're not going to, at least one build, right? You're not going to be a complete sitting duck. They're going to
Yeah,
have the edge, but I don't know if they're going to get that much that quickly. And I think they want to get on France. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I could see it. I wouldn't. I wouldn't stab them in Trieste this turn. Is what I'm saying
mm, yeah,
because they're already going +5 or +4 or whatever. I'm not going to deny them a build.
yeah. I mean, okay, so that's maybe a discussion we should delay till the fall. Let's have a quick look at the West first, right? So I do actually manage to take Norway here because England does some interesting moves.
Some wiggling. Yep.
I guess they were just at this point they were just maybe I want to take my homeland back, but France actually gets an incredible convoy off here, Belgium to Edinburgh, which is huge, right? And it's based on this fleet backing out of Liverpool, baiting the English army into Liverpool, and then now you can potentially support back up, or you can take London, or you can do both. In fact, the only thing stopping you from doing both is now that this English fleet is in Norwegian Sea. But you can at least get +1 from London or Edinburgh.
See, it's moves like these that the AI plays that makes me think the AI is cheating.
Because you think that they can predict what's going on, or
Yeah, right. Like the fact that they just vacate Marseille and everything in the south, they don't even try to move themselves in the Mid Atlantic Ocean to hold or anything. Um, right? They throw exactly a strength two support onto the North Sea when this is happening, right? It just it's things like this that I look at that just make me suspicious because I don't think the optimal moves here. If you don't know that Italy's going in NMR or anything that remotely resemble these moves from France,
I don't
but
know. I think it probably is right because your attack previously of Italy on France, obviously Italy is going to gain +1 no matter what you do. They're going to get one of Marseille or Spain.
and
But
with these
yours
orders, was I
was
going to get the other?
Munich was going to hit Burgundy, right?
Yeah,
Piedmont hits Marseille, and then there's a support into Spain, or the other way around. They get Marseille. This bounces Munich out of Burgundy. It positions you around Holland to potentially, well, maybe that's a stretch. I don't know, but it positions you to gain more in the north. I think. Plus, you don't lose more in the south, as far as I can see. You get knocked out of Spain, you retreat to Portugal, and then you can try and hold
and then you
Marseille
get
that way with a support back into Spain or a tap. Um, and if you get knocked out of Marseille, you retreat to Gascony, and you have the same guess over Marseille.
maybe, but this way you suddenly leave Gascony guaranteed exposed.
Yeah, I wonder. See, my thinking is maybe the calculation is France is going. Okay, I'm growing in the north. I'm clearly gonna lose something in the south. Maybe I just leave minimal units in the south and try and maximize the growth in the north.
Maybe. And you have to look at the specifics of the situation, right? But just that turn happened to coincide with this
This is an incredible.
absurd move, this convoy into Eddie from Belgium, when, like, what if Skagerrak tapped Sweden instead? And then North Sea supported also, instead of moving into Norwegian Sea this turn, right? The bet is that
Oh,
St.
you mean
Pete's then
Norway
tapping
supported?
Norway. What
Yeah,
if the support came from Norway, right? Instead of coming from Holland? Like, this move is crazy to me.
it is kind of
It happened
incredible.
on both fronts. I don't know.
I think
Whatever.
it's I think it's predictable. I think you usually like Norway almost certainly gets tapped here by one thing or the other, right? So
Okay,
the only
it's just the
risk
attack is never coming from Norway.
the only risk to this is if Norway moves into North Sea with double support, which I think is a possibility. So that is a what happens if you do that with this? Then North Sea retreats into Edinburgh, right? Um, and then actually it's a much worse position for France because they have to tap Liverpool with Wales. They can't get any support on that. Um, and then they're left with just these two fleets fighting all the English ones. Yeah, that seems like a very bad position if that happens, but I think it's specifically against Norway getting double supported back that it's an issue. Everything else is fine.
But like, it's such a likely move that I don't know. Anyways, I'm suspicious of the AI. I've been suspicious of the AI this whole time.
Yep.
But went great here.
All right. But yeah.
Let's look at the
So
fall, right? Let's just see the cleanup.
yeah, let's go
All
ahead
of the
to
Italian units are gone.
fall 1906.
Oh, never
So
mind.
this was my thinking with when the Italian disappeared was Turkey is going to try and stop my growth, right? Because that just makes sense. You're gonna block Venice almost every time here, right? Because the Turk doesn't want the Russian strong all of a sudden. They could try and go after the French, I suppose, and stay aligned with the Russian, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to be at war with them here, right? That said, I don't know why I moved Romania to Black Sea without covering. That just seems stupid. In this, I think
Yeah,
it was
once you're betting against this attack from Turkey, then I think it's definitely correct to hold Romania.
yeah,
But you moved Tyrolia to Trieste was great, made up for it. So
yeah.
you're still in fine shape.
And I'm in Black Sea, but Turkey has 3 builds or 4 builds,
Yeah,
I
but you
think now.
forced them to
So
build two fleets suddenly, and I mean that's just fine.
that is something. Uh, I really dislike the Turk supporting Budapest here. I thought he was gonna support into Romania, and it wouldn't matter if I moved into Black Sea. I, mm, I don't know. This Romania to Black Sea, I think is just a bad move on my part. But
Yeah, it's rough.
yeah,
They're still
but
building one.
interestingly, suddenly the Italian keeps quite a lot, right? They keep Bulgaria, Greece, Budapest, and Munich. So these Italian units are gonna be a factor for a little while, even though they're neutral. Um, and the bot, amusingly, is still protecting itself against them because it
Yeah, because
doesn't.
the bot doesn't recognize NMR.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Uh, is there anything else you want to talk about here? I guess there's a little bit that happened in the north.
Yeah, I mean, just England is struggling. Not not dead, but definitely struggling. I mean, London's gone, but there's still an army in Liverpool, so England is not going to die anytime soon. But
They lost
yeah,
Norway as
France is
well.
really getting punished for not realizing that this is an NMR. It's pretty big, big one.
Yeah, mainly just because Turkey is outpacing them, right? Because they're still going to win over England in the north. They, as long as they slow play it, they're fine.
Yeah, but like they could have. Yes, because Turkey is outpacing them. There's a lot of moves they could be making here that would be accelerating their position.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, they are not. So, for Turkey, this line of Italian units is a barrier. For France, it's a distraction, and that's a big
Yeah, it's
difference
also a
between.
barrier,
Uh,
but it's a barrier on their side.
yes, but it's a distraction for them because they're an AI and they don't know that it's a barrier.
Yep,
uh,
rough.
so, shall we move on to the winter?
Let's do it.
All right, we got some power rankings to do in this winter. So there are the double fleet builds on Con and Ankh, Army Smyrna, Army Sevastopol. These Italian disbands are the default ones. I think it's alphabetical, but I don't remember. No, it's not because
I think it was
Budapest
like the
would be.
order in which they were built or something.
It's
I don't
something
know.
like that. I thought it
It's not
was.
by the rule book, I know.
I thought the rulebook says it's distance from homeland or something, right? And
Yes, and
that's
that's not
clearly
this,
not
right?
being
Because
followed.
Budapest would have gone.
Yeah, although Budapest is only 2 away from the homeland. Like Greece is actually 3. No, Greece is 2 still as well. Never mind, they're all the same.
Yes.
So I don't know what the actual rule is here, but these are the 2 that come off. And then we see England taking Liverpool off, which is actually quite important, I think, because they.
Yeah, it's going to make France's life a little cleaner in the conquest of the British homeland. Well, it doesn't
Yes.
affect the power rankings that much, right? Power rankings, I mean, it's going to be Turkey number one instead, bye Italy. Then
Yeah.
France two, U three, England four, Germany five.
Yeah, we're actually taking Italy off the power rankings because they're in CD. So sorry, you said that Turkey 1, France 2. Did you say Russia 3? Yeah. And then
Yeah,
England, then
CD over
Germany.
England.
Yes. I think that's correct. Yeah. Um so here's there's our power rankings. Pretty quick this time around. And let's keep rolling then, I guess. Spring 1907.
Yeah, I'm just taking a little bit of time to look at the war in the south here, the war between you and Turkey.
Okay, I'll go ahead and commentate the North while you're looking
Yeah,
that, I suppose. The English correctly bounced the French out of North Sea. I think this was the obvious move set from the French here. And it's absolutely correct to make sure they don't get into there. By disbanding Liverpool, you're dedicating everything to protecting and maintaining Scandinavia, right? So you want to delay the French from getting there as much as possible while you make gains. The problem is you're going to Bothnia and Barents now. And that's kind of saying, okay, I'm relying on me taking St. Petersburg here. Otherwise, I'm kind of in trouble. I don't have much I can do. I'm losing Liverpool, so I'm going to go down a unit unless I take this. And because England gets bounced out of North, they can't guarantee it, which is actually quite important. So England's position is poor, but they're going to survive a little longer, I think, in the North. And France is just doing the whole I'm going to march forward thing. Interestingly, they could have lost Edinburgh here if Norwegian Sea had gone there, but I guess they took the disband on Liverpool as a signal that they weren't going to. Oh, and France, important note here as well, has finally realised that the Italian units are holding and is backing off. So maybe the AI had something realising, oh, this is what a CD is. But yeah, have you had enough time to look at the East now?
yeah. If I'm for you, I want to have Vienna Civil hold Trieste, St. Pete to Moscow. I want to have Black Sea tap Armenia. I want to have Sev tap Romania. And then whatever, I'll throw in a Trieste support Galicia to Budapest, but I'm not sure that's going to do anything. But that's what I'm going to do. And then in the fall, I'm going to go for Romania.
Okay. Well, are you? So you're still on winter, and you're gonna move ahead and see it now.
Yeah, I'm moving ahead right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the Armenia bounce. So
Yeah, but I wouldn't have self-bounced with Sev. I would have had Sev tap Romania.
yeah, that would have been better here, especially considering it would have gone in. Um,
Right. I had that. And then by support holding Trieste, I don't lose Trieste in this position. And then I was just having Galicia tap because I didn't want to lose Galicia. And I was going to cover Ukraine in the fall because I didn't really worry. I wasn't considering St. Petersburg being a thing that mattered on the board. I mean, it turned out
yeah,
to matter at least a little bit, but I mean, you're still going to be okay. Um, but this is a difficult fight.
very difficult
Yeah, I
fight.
don't think your position improved though. I think you needed to keep Venice split.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Vienna support hold Trieste would have just been much better here. Um, in fact, I'm not sure why I felt the need to take out the Italian unit. I think it was maybe in case the Turk tried to take it out themselves. But it's still just, it would have probably been better to hold this and stay in Galicia. But yeah, the big difference here is I think you could rely on St. Petersburg to most support. I really wanted to keep a presence in the north, like no matter what. I wanted to make sure that England couldn't knock me out there, because I felt like England is getting weaker to the point that if I can survive up there long enough, I can probably make some gains before the end of the game. Uh, and
Yeah, that's I think a really fair point.
yeah, and I think you need St. Petersburg up there to do that. You're not going to get. You're not going to
My
stay in the
assumption
north.
was England's going to die so fast. I can stall out in the south, and then I'm going to get another build in Moscow, and I can then take St. Pete at my leisure. But maybe that was just wrong.
I think that's fair as well. You just need to, yeah, think is France going to have gained enough by then that they can just lock you out of everything in the north?
Yeah, I mean, by then, I'm talking about literally next year, but
Yeah.
it's
Okay. Yeah, that's a possibility. Um,
whatever. This is okay. So here we are. Aren't you kind of cooked?
I am in a very bad spot, and I also made a bad retreat here. I think with Bulgaria East Coast, I think that should have gone to Romania, because Sevastopol could have support held Romania, and then we're kind of okay. Whereas,
I mean, Sevastopol can still support Bulgaria into Romania, and that's almost the same thing.
yeah, but it's different in that Serbia. Then you have to tap Serbia with Budapest, right? Because Serbia could support Galicia into Romania, and the difference is in if you've retreated to Romania and your support holdings and your support holding the fleet there, if you have equal strength with the Turk attacking it, you keep their supply center and gain that. Whereas if you bounce out with a with an attack from Bulgaria and an attack from Galicia, then the Turk keeps that, and they disband your unit in Bulgaria, and suddenly everything there is Turkish. Uh,
So the issue is, I think it's related, but it's that Serbia can support Kondabul while Galicia cuts taps Romania, and then they don't even need to
oh yeah,
they
they
only
don't.
need strength one on Romania.
This is true.
But if your fleet's in Romania, they need strength two.
Yep, I think that's correct. I knew there was something wrong with this retreat. Because I remember at the time thinking, oh, hang on, that was wrong. Because I have a problem of always readying up as soon as I'm like relatively okay with the move, and then the phase goes through, and then I think, oh no, I want to change that, and no,
Yeah, I remember
nothing.
playing live games with you, being really happy about the results, and then I played not live games with you, and it was really frustrating.
Yep, that sounds
Not
about
just
right.
because you get for help from friends. Those
uh,
1v that tournament were so annoying.
good times. But yeah,
You're just how do you survive at all?
I think this is a pretty terrible situation for Russia. I would agree.
Well, they
You
don't even deal with your fleet in the Bulgaria this turn, right? They just say, "Nah, we'll figure that out later," right? Because you're clearly going to have Ukraine support hold Sevastopol, right? Like you don't, whatever, it's fine. The only question is actually no. If
Have you moved ahead to the fall here, or are you still on
no, I'm just
Have
looking
you?
at it. I'm just looking at the spring still. Right, trying to
Yep.
figure out
I mean, there's
how
no need to
best
have
to
Ukraine
exploit this.
support hold Sevastopol because there's nothing adjacent, right?
Oh,
Apart
Armenia
from
got
like some.
bounced. Oh, I'm stupid as hell. Of course, Armenia got
Yeah.
bounced because you didn't forget about that much. No, that's right. That's right. So okay, this position isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was because you're still +1 going into the fall.
Yeah.
It's still bad though, and so instead you're gonna have Ukraine cover Warsaw, I guess.
Kind of has to.
Kind of has to.
Unless you take the risk on it, but.
Yeah. Man, I don't like it when the whole game is 2-CMUR. But let's assume you're not even. Let's assume you're not even covering Warsaw. And I don't even take advantage of that fact. What are you going to do to Romania? You're just going to support. You're going to attack Romania from Ukraine and then have Sev support it. Well, that's annoying. But then I still end up messing with Budapest, Vienna. I have Galicia tap Vienna or attack Budapest, either one. Probably Galicia to. Nah, Galicia supports Serbia to Budapest, Trieste to Vienna. That's what I
Yeah.
do here.
Because that's pretty clearly going to work, right?
Well, no, but then Serbia is
Well,
not useful, right? Because then Serbia is not kicking Bulgaria out.
oh, that's true. Well, you could just go for the guaranteed kick out on Bulgaria of black support constable, right? And then you lose Romania, but whatever.
No,
Um,
yeah, and then you don't care about. You don't even get into Armenia. That's fine. Screw Armenia. Yeah, that's it. Black support, Kondabol, Smita arm, and then even if you take Romania, you don't care because you're going to retreat there anyways. You just popped your own fleet. Haha. And then so
yeah.
Ukraine is going to cover Warsaw. No, your position's cooked. We figured it out. We got there. All right, great.
Shall we move ahead to the fall?
Yeah, it took me a sec.
All right.
Ah, he did it the wrong way. He did it the wrong way.
Do you want to talk about why?
Well, because he took from Serbia, and he took from Galicia instead of from Serbia. And his army in. Would you rather have an army in Galicia and Budapest or an army in Serbia and Budapest?
Yeah,
Clearly,
it would
the
be.
further one's the closer to his home.
The problem is, of course, if you get tapped in Galicia, then you don't get Budapest. But it's a pretty okay assumption that you're not going to get tapped in Galicia here. It would be very, very risky for any Russian units to do that. So, yeah. Maybe this is
Are we
like specifically hoping that.
Italy is not on the board? I feel like this bot still thinks Italy's on the board,
The bot absolutely
right?
does still think that Italy is on the board, yes. By the look of it, right?
This just random mid-Atlantic Ocean to Spain's south coast instead of North Africa,
Yep.
right? Whatever. Anyways, yeah. So other than that, though, solid news from Turkey. Um, I don't know how I feel about you keeping your fleet on the board. I would have been really tempted to just not take Romania with from Ukraine. Maybe that's incorrect, and you should do this and keep your fleet alive. Like Ukraine's a nice place to have a unit. I just don't like that fleet.
I think it's more that I was worried that something might cover Romania. um, and then, I get bounced out of Rum and my fleet gets disbanded. Uh,
Well, we looked at it right. If they have something cover Romania, then they're not going to take Budapest.
yeah, that's true. Uh, so, yeah, this absolutely could be the difference here. I think the Fleet Romania is certainly a very useless unit.
Yeah, I mean it's still a unit, right? It occupies the location. Are you building one? Because you're
Yeah.
even in the north.
The problem is,
You
like,
lost Trieste, you gained Budapest, and then you gained one in the south, right? So you get to build an army of Warsaw still.
yeah, I think so. Like, if I had just held Bulgaria here and actually held Ukraine as well, I could have got the retreat from Budapest into Romania, which would have probably been the much better option. But
Well, yeah, then you
no
would
way
have
to know that.
pulled Bulgaria off the board, yeah, but you can't predict that. I mean,
Yep.
well, maybe you could have because we kind of saw this coming, but
Well, I can't really predict. Like, it's a 5 minute phase. I think I got much better at 5 minute phases towards the end of the tournament, but
yeah, no, you
yeah,
can't.
it's
It's
just
hard to make these types of guesses. You need like in a non-live 1v1 game, these types of things happen, but you can't do that. So,
yeah.
all right, that's fair.
All right.
And then In the north, we just see France continue the steamroll. Right, it's a little bit slow going, but not even that slow going. France just got to walk in the North Sea, despite
Yes.
having 3 hostile fleets adjacent to it. I love it.
uh,
Whatever.
it's me and England still duking it out in the north is probably helping France quite a lot here.
Yeah, because you guys have each had 2 units just running around, not doing anything, just swinging at each other, trading supply centers around. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I really hate the position that England gets themselves into here. As England, I really hate that because those two fleets are completely separate. The only place they can coordinate is St. Petersburg now. Whereas previously they were in, I think, Sweden and Norwegian, so they could have at least, you know, stayed in Sweden and Norwegian and made constant attacks on Norway or something.
Fleets in Scandinavia have a really hard time coordinating unless one of them is in the Skagerrak.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you can coordinate Sweden and Norwegian, right? You just constantly
Or
support it
into
back.
Norway, right?
Yes, but
And then Bothnia and Barents can coordinate into St. Pete. But then once you're in there, right? Yeah, then Sweden and Norway are nice because then you get into Skagerrak and then you take Denmark, right?
yes,
But it's reliant on the whole Skagerrak thing.
it is. Skagerrak is the best place to be in Scandinavia on account of it being adjacent to everything in Scandinavia. But sometimes you just want 2 units to lock down 2 centers, and that's not going to happen with Barents and Bothnia because you can only lock down 1 center in the St.
And you've
Petersburg.
got 2 units doing it. It's so useless. Maybe they're going to disband one of them missing player is.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Hey, let's go to the winter.
All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead to the winter of 1907.
The answer was no. No, they
Nope.
did not.
Holland coming off the board. They're like,
You know what the beautiful is? Because you built this army in Moscow, it doesn't even matter.
Yep. Tried so hard to keep St. Petersburg, but in the end, did not even matter. They're going to lose it.
I
Assuming
wish
I
the
use Moscow to
song was
attack
written
them.
that way.
Yeah. I mean,
Did Germany NMR last turn? That's
um,
surprisingly relevant here.
I don't think they NMR'd. I think they
No.
just.
All right, as England, I'm going to support Berlin to Munich.
I think that's a good plan. Yeah. It only really holds out for a turn, but it's.
Actually, I take it back. I'm going to cut Ruhr and I'm going to tap Holland. Also, I would have disbanded St. Pete instead of Holland. Here we go.
Yeah.
I would have
These
tried to
units are
disband
not.
St. Pete the entire time this entire game. I would have just gone rid of that unit. Like every turn, what's the disband? It's been St. Pete.
Uh. Yeah. So that we've got another fleet Marseille from the French, I guess, potentially going against the Turk now.
Yeah, I mean, finally we're all ready, right? We got our fleets in Marseille, Spain, and Mid Atlantic Ocean. Hopefully, on Western and North Africa are going to be covered.
Interestingly, I
We
think the Italian disbands did follow the closest to home thing this turn, as in they got rid of Munich and Western Med and kept
instead of
Piedmont,
Piedmont, yep,
which is really nice for the French because now they can go into all of Lyon, West and Nav.
yep.
But yeah,
And the army in Munich can't even be support held by Berlin anymore. Because as Germany, I would support hold Munich here every time because it's the only way you can survive when it died.
yeah, yeah.
Right, let's go to the
All right,
spring.
let's go to the spring of 1908. And yeah, where do you want to look at first?
Um, I sure. Let's look at the east, where a whole bunch of bouncing happened. Great.
Yes, something important here. I think 5 minute phase timer is hurting Turkey a little bit in that they didn't get their Trieste order in time. And that's quite big, right? Trieste hold
Yes.
instead of Trieste support Budapest to Vienna is pretty huge here.
Yep. Okay. And then, other than that, right, you had nothing else, no progress in the south. 3 units held against whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 4 units stalled that against 7. Smyrna then is the 8th unit that made progress, and that's going to break things.
Yes. And
But
it can actually break things quite a lot because there's no way to hold both Romania and Sevastopol here, and Vienna is going. So
oh yeah, no, I mean it's a big deal. It turns it from nothing into guaranteed progress, so that's always scary.
yes. But on the other front, like Turkey is, well, they managed to bounce France out of Lyon, which is important, which means they can hold Tunis for one turn. But then, if they bounce
So here's
Tunis,
my question.
yeah,
For you in the north, why are you bouncing England out of Denmark instead of going into Skagerrak?
I think I was trying to bounce France out of Denmark. I don't remember. I think I was treating England as hostile at this point because they made the run for St. Petersburg. Um, I should absolutely have let them back into Denmark, I think, but I feel like if I had let them into Denmark, they probably would have just sniped Sweden. So, yeah.
Maybe. Feels like the point of the game when you can like actually make the stalemate line in the north, and England's going to be happy to be left alive.
Yeah, you'd think so, but they are also tapping Norway here. So, I don't know. I
Yeah,
feel like if I was England here, I would throw a support from St. Petersburg to Norway just to, or the St. Petersburg support hold Norway just to confirm to Russia that I am on their side. Even if I get knocked out there, then they probably support me somewhere
well, they
afterwards.
probably don't kill me. Is
Yes.
the thing any more than they already have by holding Norway, Sweden, and St. Pete.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but yes, so I can't remember why I went to Denmark. I think it was just to keep England out and make sure that I wasn't, you know, that I didn't
Yeah,
get
make
Sweden
sure they don't have
taken.
two on Sweden, right? So they can't cut Norway and take Sweden in the fall. I mean, that's very much a thing.
Yeah, especially in summer squares because England is just going to be trying to get onto whatever centres they can get. Really, with an end timer,
Yeah,
I think it's actually a reasonable. It's reasonable for England to play for most supply centres, assuming that full 1908 is the last phase because that's the best they can really hope for at this point.
yeah, something
But
like
yeah,
that. But whatever. I mean, they and like look because nothing else is gone. France made progress into Munich, and the South is good. So let's go to the fall.
yeah. Let's go to the fall of 1908 here. Um, France now putting an army into Denmark. And interestingly,
And
this is.
these days it's just wreck Turkey.
What do you mean,
What?
sorry?
Like Turkey didn't kill you,
Yeah.
and then did they even get the convoy in?
They failed to enter Bulgaria to Con, I think, which was important here if they were trying to get this convoy working. Um, but, like, the important thing here is they pieced out on realizing that they had to lose Tunis here, I think. Because they could either have bounced Tunis out or they could have gotten the extra fleet through Ionian. But they couldn't have consistently done both. Which is actually, I think these French moves are wrong, right? Because you assume that Western Mediterranean should support North Africa to Tunis, with Marseille moving to Lyon unsupported. Because this is the only moveset that potentially allows the French to get some sort of quasi stalemate lineup by letting Ionian into Tunis and Aegean through to Ionian.
Yeah, but in these particular movesets, isn't it great that France did what they did?
Yeah, against this it works very
You
well.
see why I'm hella suspicious of the bot,
Yeah.
right? Because every game it feels like there are a couple of turns where the bot just makes spectacular guesses. But whatever.
Yeah, this was an incredible guess on the bot's part. And it ends up being very, very correct. And it's like the bot goes insanely. Like they get an insane number of supply centers here. They get Munich, they get Kiel, they get Holland, they get Denmark, they get Tunis. So +5.
Yeah,
Uh,
because Baltic Sea didn't do anything involving Denmark,
yes.
and you supported the wrong way.
I supported the right way, right? I supported Baltic to Denmark. Well, I tried to support the right way, but Baltic did not take my support.
Yeah, I thought Baltic was okay. My wrong way. I was thinking Baltic supports Kiel, and then Sweden supports Helgoland to Denmark, and then your line is that St. Pete supports Norway, Sweden supports Denmark, Baltic supports Kiel. and then you like
Yeah.
stall out there for a long
Actually,
time.
that makes more sense than what I did. Except that England would have to disband Baltic here, right? If you support.
Well, they disband Norwegian.
No, because they're losing St. Petersburg and they're losing Holland and they're losing. Well, they wouldn't lose Kiel. Okay, so they end up
Yeah,
with
you have
just
to disband
Denmark
two. They have
and
to
Kiel.
disband Norwegian and something else.
I th-
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Then they disband Baltic, but then Berlin can support Kiel because then Germany sees that England is not insane.
yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think I supported the wrong way here then.
But
Um,
still, whatever. Wouldn't have mattered in the long run. But that's depressing as hell. So France gained 5% this turn. Okay.
yeah, that's insane growth for France.
But I also think, right, for Turkey's perspective, right, if we assume this game is ending at some point in the next 3 years, which is very, very likely, just because of the way that it works, right? Like over the next 3 years, like in a game end is plausible, probable.
Yeah,
I think your best bet is to just try to kill you and get as much as they can because they're going to be gaining very similar to France. Now, in a game without an end condition, I think that's insane because they're going to throw the solo every time. But I think in this particular circumstance, it's likely that France can solo in time, so just take your dots and then call it a day.
yeah, that's an interesting idea. We'll see. So this turnaround is mainly this. This is definitely something that a longer, that a no end time player would do, um, to try and just stop the solo rather than relying on the
Yeah,
clock.
get
Uh,
Russia involved to actually say, hey, we have to pressure him in Munich. We got to get ourselves on board. I'm not going to kill you. Keep Romania. It's fine. Keep Vienna. It's fine. I tried to take a last turn, but I didn't get there. So whatever. It is what it is. Let's go stop the solo.
yeah.
But we have the timer to do that for us. So no need.
Okay. So yeah, and then actually, if we, I assume we're done with looking at this phase, or
Yeah, I mean, they can go to the winner.
all right, let's go to winter 1908. We see actually Germany and Italy are gone now. I mean, Italy was basically already gone, but I will pull Germany off the power rankings. I think the power rankings now are very clearly France, then Turkey, then Russia, then England, right?
What? I think England's number one. It's a corner power.
It really is that Berlin corner. I mean, it's in the corner of Germany, so
See, his unit's in the Norwegian, man. It's going to be North Atlantic Ocean. Hard to get to be a more corner location than that.
that is actually true. The only way that that they can not get a home centre back this phase is if France delays their attack to convoy an army back to Yorkshire or Edinburgh, right?
Yep. I think the move
Otherwise,
to Clyde is clearly the correct move in this particular situation. Force all the things. If he doesn't convoy back, you just walk in Liverpool like normal, and if he does, you still force him to cover Eddie as well.
yeah, that makes sense. I
But
think
yeah, like that's just it. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about this fleet build from Turkey. I suppose it's a thing, but whatever. Like, get your units out.
yeah, the interesting thing is like the army core of the east is really weak right now because there's two armies stuck in Ankara and Armenia, right? The Russian armies are in Ukraine, Sevastopol, and Warsaw. Warsaw can get onto the line quite quickly. Vienna can get onto the line quite quickly. Then you got
Ukraine can
Venice
get
and
there kind of
Trieste,
quickly, right?
and yeah, Budapest is also kind of stuck behind the Russian units because you can't walk into Galicia. You might bounce the Russian out, and then you're like, that's not good.
I
Um,
mean, I'm walking into Galicia every time.
do you think just because it will probably get around?
Yeah, I assume Russia's going to Warsaw and Prussia.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The problem, of course, is if you end up in like Silesia with it, and the Russian is in Prussia, and then the Russian ends up in Bohemia, and you end up in Tyrol. It's really hard to coordinate all those units when you're in gunboat. You just got a
Yes,
multicolored
that's true.
line.
It's much nicer to have the to have the Russian in Silesia and Prussia near Bohemia and Tyrolia, which
Yes,
is why in the fall I'm supporting myself into Bohemia from Galicia.
that would be a good play, I think. Yeah. So I forget what else we were talking about here. We've done the power rankings, so shall we just move on to the spring?
Let's do it.
Okay, spring 1909. I should say we actually for once have a time limit on how long we can record this thing for, and I think Ezio has to go in like 15 minutes, so we are going to rush through the rest of this.
But like it's just a standby line. It's just a tactics game. What does the game end actually Um, and like, there's gonna be just a little bit of guesswork in it. So, I mean, whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting what happens. But yes, so Turkey actually managed a successful convoy here. We can avoid talking about most of this stuff. Importantly, your little thing that you would have done going to Galicia would have worked. And definitely supporting to Bohemia would have been the right thing to do here. But Turkey goes through to Trieste, which means they're even more stuck behind their own units now, right? They've left the entire northern front to the Russian to defend.
And I think you have enough units that you can hold it together barely. Because of this fleet in Denmark, or excuse me, the army in Denmark, not a fleet, you're gonna be okay for a bit.
Yeah,
You
and
got some more time.
also this English fleet here is crucial, right? Because the fact that France is convoying back to defend it and not using North Sea to try and press forward is super important in delaying them taking the north.
Yeah, it's a
So
very nice call.
heroic defense from England, although they are probably going to die in the next turn.
Yeah, and you need to get Sev north. I think you needed to get it north this turn, but you can probably get it north next turn. It's still okay.
Yeah, Sev support run was questionable here, or very
Yeah,
questionable.
but whatever. I mean, it's a turn. Who cares? All right, let's
All
look at the
right,
fall.
so fall 1909. So Cilicia gets taken.
Yeah,
It's the important thing here. Turkey convoying into Apulia locks down the Italian front, although it was fairly locked down anyway.
yeah,
Um,
but now it's guaranteed. There's no way. And then what? You take Budapest because you need to build in St. Pete's. Your argument should be
yeah,
fine. You build in Warsaw, maybe. I don't know. You're gonna build somewhere in the north, probably a fleet, right? Because you want to get that fleet into Brest because that actually holds it.
yeah.
Brest support holds Norway, and then no, you're still guessing. You
It's,
you need another unit up north. Can we
it's
teleport your fleet Romania to Bothnia?
that would be the idea, right? That would be so. I think my logic on taking Budapest here was I need another fleet. I need a fleet to defend Baltic in case they replace this army Denmark with a fleet there, right? So that was my thought on that front. I didn't really care about Barents so much because I think Scandinavia has lost anyway long term. But if we're gonna
Or Baltic?
establish, sorry, go on.
And if you're worried about losing Scandinavia, then why don't you cover Baltic?
Because like if you're trying to delay taking St. Petersburg for a very long time, I think Bothnia and Baltic are the places to do it from. If you've got fleets in those two provinces and like Army Finland, Army St. Petersburg, I'm not sure if that's a full stalemate, but I think it's close to one. Uh,
I mean, Barents is very, very nice
it is
to hold Norway.
the problem with Barents is it's so easy to get it blown up, right? So if you end up
Well, not if
with
you never lose Norway.
that's true. Actually, I don't. Yeah, okay. So let's say you have Finland support holding Norway, St. Pete support holding Norway, Barents support holding Norway. They need to get into Sweden, Skagerrak, North Sea, Norwegian, and Bothnia to cut Finland. Okay, yes, I can see that being just as good. Um, yeah. Either way, you really want the build here, right?
I think the build is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this have been great if Turkey had moved into Galicia last turn, and then they could move support themselves into Bohemia,
This is
and then you
true.
retreat to Warsaw, and suddenly there's no issues?
Yep. Uh, shall we move ahead to the winter here?
Yeah, let's see it.
I mean, I've basically already told you my build. I valued
Yeah, you're
Baltic
building fleet
more,
South Coast.
so
Does the game
South
end?
Coast.
Nope, no
Game
game
does
ends.
not end yet. It's actually going to continue for a little while yet.
Oh, but you're gonna lose Norway now.
Yeah, so I get into Bothnia and Baltic here, which was what I was trying to do, right? I think.
Wait, you're gonna take Berlin.
Mm,
That's really funny. I didn't look at the potential for that to happen because you cut Munich now.
that is the interesting one, right? It's like. It does actually work. I think actually my priority here was trying to blow up Cilicia first and foremost, but Berlin was also
Yeah, if you really were trying to blow up Silesia, there's no way to do it, right?
Yeah,
Berlin tapping Prussia stopped that because it could always just retreat. So this was definitely best. And hey, look, you're in Berlin now, so that's great.
yeah,
And then even though you lose Norway, you get Berlin, so you stay even, and it works out just as well. I'm wondering if there's whether you could build if you could have built this fleet in St. Pete, North Coast, and then moved it to Barents or done something with it so that have it interact with Norway favorably. But then you're probably losing Sweden. But you might have had like a guess. Probably not though. I think they just put two on Norway, two on Sweden. You've only got 3 units. So
yeah. I just think this line on the in the Baltic Bothnia is just so much easier to defend because it's so much harder for France to get fleets to it.
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some way to form a true stalemate as long as you can hold Kiel, right? Like you can
Yeah,
have some like
it's
weird nonsense in the north with like Berlin, Kiel, Denmark, Skagerrak, Norway, Barents or something, and like that just works. You could probably even throw Munich in that, and then it's like it holds from the east. But once you throw Munich in the stalemate line, it's like, oh, you're telling me you can create a stalemate line on the stalemate line? Wow. But I've seen
yeah,
some nonsense to like because I've had a game where like France took Italy or something, and we had to stop a solo, and we like figured out that we could abuse this nonsense in the north.
yeah. Just I think the line on Denmark Kiel is a lot better than a line on Baltic Sweden, but
Yes,
maybe it's still
obviously, but
feasible.
because you've got a nice Turk who's loaning you extra units because he has more units than he needs to hold the south, like you
Yeah,
can come up with a bunch more, right? There are so many stalemates that just don't support themselves, but as long as you have loans, it's okay.
yeah. Shall we go ahead to the fall?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So fall
And then, hey, look,
1910.
you're in Berlin.
I'm in
That's
Berlin.
nice.
Huzzah!
And then you lose Norway. That's sad. You get Silesia. It retreats to Prussia. Very sad. Oh, if you'd taken Berlin from the Baltic, you would have actually popped Silesia. That'd have been very nice.
That is true. I
Well,
think,
if
but
wishes were fishes, he could have also just tapped Prussia, and then you wouldn't have had anything. So I think this was definitely right.
yes. And nice support from Turkey on this, although I suppose it was kind of obvious what this was going to do. Still,
Yeah, I mean, it's still
still
nice, right? I
solid.
can see a lot of Turks who would have like just thrown extra support of Tiroli or like supported themselves in Munich. I would have probably done that in this position, but taking
In
Silesia is much better.
Interestingly, the Turk did choose not to tap Munich, which was the like that was maybe a little questionable because it wouldn't. I wouldn't have taken Berlin, but at the same time,
If you
if
get into
you
Silesia, right, it forces a disband here,
yes,
and then Munich is going to fall.
yeah, or Berlin. In fact, Berlin's gonna fall first, no matter what, right?
Yes.
And then Munich. Um, but yes, so they're absolutely
Is
correct
the
from the
game end?
take. Nope, we go into spring
We skip winter for
1911.
the first time.
Yes, first time this game. I'm still trying to deal with that army pressure. I think at this point, my thought is if I can keep Berlin and disband army pressure, that's a true stalemate, right? There's no.
Yeah. I mean, minus like Sweden, of course, and St.
Yeah,
Pete, of course. But hey, look, it's a 17.
yeah, exactly. Um, so that was my feeling, and I mean, I don't know. The Turk actually does get into Munich here, and I think if I recall correctly, if we do you want to go through to the next phase or
Oh, I
anything
mean,
to
isn't this just like, aren't you just good now, right? Don't you just have it locked because you just throw, right? Turkey can support hold Munich forever, and they do that without you doing anything else ever. And then you can just support hold Berlin with everything. And then you have Bosnia and Finland support hold Sweden, and then Livonia covers St. Pete, and then, oh, but St. Pete can go because there's still a guest there. Well, you
yeah.
lose something in the north then, but aren't you just locked? Aren't you fine?
I think I was so convinced that, or so much thinking I need this true stalemate or whatever, that I end up, if you look in the fall, convoying Sweden down, which is maybe not the best decision you can make here. Uh, it's like I want if I get a disband here, I want it to be some Fleet Sevastopol so that I'm not stuck with Fleet Sevastopol instead of something on my line. But I think I could have gone down a unit and still been fine, right? Because Warsaw. Uh, but yeah,
I'm also really stupid. I didn't realize last year that France got an army in Piedmont because I'm stupid. So Turkey couldn't have held Munich.
Right, unless I threw a support on there, and I really didn't want to because I want to keep
Could have
Berlin.
taken Denmark though.
I could have ended up taking Denmark. That would have been an interesting one. But yeah,
If Denmark holds Sweden, that's great.
I believe this, as is, sets up a true stalemate. Just about.
I
You
mean, I
get
think like some units can move hands, like locations, but there's no way that any centers can change hands,
well, yeah, St.
right? Because you can
Petersburg can,
lose your
right?
fleets, right, and
But
it's still a stalemate.
yes, I think St. Petersburg can fall eventually if you like continue maneuvering for ages, but it's gonna take a
Yeah,
while.
no, no. St. Pete can fall. St. Pete can absolutely fall. I'm sure,
But the rest of this is all locked.
right? Because there's a way that like you can just get enough fleets on it, right? If Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Kiel are all fleets, then you can take Bothnia. Oh, but if Kiel is a fleet, then you lose Munich.
Yeah, that's
And if you
true.
lose Munich, you're not getting it back unless you take the whatever. I'd have to look at it more thoroughly to really get it. But the key is the center count's certainly never going to change.
Yes. So if we go forward to spring, where we do get a winter phase, I go down Sevastopol. France goes up to
Yeah.
16 right now. I realize that England should not be on these power rankings anymore, but we're just going to keep them in supply center order. So France, then Turkey, then Russia, and then spring 1912, I move into position to defend St. Petersburg, and like everything else is just there's some shuffling, but no centers are going to change hands. This is locked. Even though I'm attacking Kiel, it's still locked because Prussia and Silesia are attacking Berlin
After looking at it for like 30 seconds, I'm pretty sure even if without the fleet in Kiel, you will still lose Bothnia eventually because and therefore St. Pete, because I think there's a way that you can get an army into Norway and then support yourself and get another fleet into Finland. I
Yeah,
believe because you can't do it if there's like a fleet in Barents as well, and you can't do it. You can't mess with St. Pete tapping something. So you can get your fleet into Finland, and then you can cut Baltic, disband Bothnia, and then you take the Baltic Sea, of course. And then once you have Bothnia, Finland, Norway, Barents, you lose St. Pete, and then the
yeah,
rest is history.
that makes sense. And you can actually see that as a potential thing in spring 1912 with me having to leave Finland open in order to defend everything else, right? And then if you move forward to fall 1912, uh, France does actually take Finland now,
Oh,
so
they
they
just
are
take it with
setting
the
up.
army instead of the fleet.
And then they're probably going to move back up to Barents on the next turn, except this is where the game ends. End
But yeah,
of.
why do they take it? Why do they take Finland with the army instead of the fleet?
Because they want to keep Sweden, I think, in case the game
Oh yeah,
ends.
I mean they can't vacate
Um,
Denmark because their fleet in the English Channel hadn't made it to North Sea in time. Okay.
yes. Uh, so at this point, like France eventually would have gained St. Petersburg, but otherwise, this is exactly where the game would have ended. On
Yeah, but
France
hilariously, an SOS scoring rate, 17 versus 16 is a big deal.
16 is huge, yeah. I think the AI gets something like 60 or 70 points from. No, it would be like low 60s or high 50s, because the rest of the board isn't very divided. But it's still a huge score for
But
the
16
AI.
squared is 256, right? And you've only got 164,
Hang on,
right?
let
So
me
256
very
over.
quickly go and find out what the. So this is a really useful page. Ezio can't see it, but there's a page on the Diplomacy Broadcast Network site where you can actually enter in supply center counts and find out exactly what score anyone has under basically any scoring system.
It
Yeah.
looks like basically a flat 60.
Let me find out if that's correct. Yeah, 61. So you're basically correct. Turkey gets
I mean,
24-ish and Russia gets 15. Um, assuming this is correct. Yeah. So that is where the game ends, and the bot gets a huge result from this. Obviously, a very disappointing game in terms of the Italian dropping out, but outside of that, it was a it was a pretty exciting one, I think. especially with the Scrum
Yeah, the
Warfare
Italy
style.
CD is just such a shame.
Yeah, as I said, I think there's one more game where a CD has a massive impact. We may or may not commentate that one. It's a very stupid game, and Ezio's already seen it. So if you
Yeah,
want to
that's one that
see,
we should maybe just post the link to it in the description of this one, so that anyone is free to peruse it at their leisure. But
yeah,
I was commenting live on this one because Beam was chatting to me about it. Maybe we should talk about this one in the April Fool's video.
actually, that's the idea. Yeah, well, we do have other ideas for April Fools right now, but that's a potential thing. We just release the stupidest possible game video.
Tell
But
me
yeah,
where. Okay. Anyways, we'll come back to it. But
but yeah.
um,
So this has been a fun one. I think we're pretty impressed with the AI's performance in this, other than its opening. All things
yeah, but
considered,
like the opening was apparently great.
it worked out
Unclear
really well.
how or why when the opening induced England to sit in the Irish Sea forever. But like that fleet that England put in the Irish Sea just sucked, right? It didn't do anything, and it was supposed to cover Liverpool. And when it finally needed to cover Liverpool, it didn't,
Yep,
right?
exactly. But yeah, so it turned out quite well. It could have gone really badly if England hadn't stabbed Germany for Holland, I think. But that
Yes, but that's gunboat, man.
it is.
That's just gunboat.
Aye, aye. So I will now let Ezio go and do the thing that he has to do in like 3 minutes.
All
So
right,
thank
see you guys.
you for watching, and we'll see you next time.